Chapter 124. Be careful. There used to be many star spirit beasts roaming around here. Bing reminded Tang Tian, I have checked. This is now a hunting spirit region. You have to pay attention to Yaya. Although the Bud Spirit General's power is weak, but it is very agile. When this ball of mist flew in front of Tang Tian, it was already like a wall of mist, crushing towards Tang Tian. Tang Tian heard it and became excited. What method? Bing showed an expression of, it has nothing to do with me, but pointed behind Tang Tian, walk 200 meters backwards, turn right. Bing took the route, looked at it carefully for a long time, and shook his head. The position is wrong. He did not continue to train in higher-level martial techniques, but continued to train in the concussion fist, which had already trained to perfection and cultivated a killing technique. Bing's eyes widened and said unkindly, Are you questioning the familiarity of an elder of the army with the army encampment? The position of Southern Cross constellation is slightly off. Bing said seriously, although the star door will change, but the position of the constellation should not have too big of a change. Wherever the mist passed, the ground would be covered with a layer of frost. Seeing that Sai Lei was about to speak, he stared and raised his voice. Don't talk nonsense with me. Go quickly. How is it not easy to walk? Tang Tian asked. Tang Tian raised his arm. Sai Lei screamed and flew into the pool. Without saying a word, Tang Tian carried Sai Lei and walked towards the direction Bing pointed. Wash up properly. If you make any more noise, don't even think about touching these mechanical weapons in the future. The spirit snake's speed was faster than Tang Tian thought. Very quickly, it appeared in front of him. The snake's body was about 3 meters, as thick as an adult's arm. The snake body was covered with a layer of fine bronze scales. These fine bronze scales formed a unique pattern, but what made Tang Tian's heart tremble was the snake's head. Bing looked up to the sky, revealing a pondering expression, and suddenly said, Who knows? After all, so many years have passed. Maybe those star spirit beasts in the past are no longer here. I still have to go to the actual site to be clear. Bing rolled his eyes. I already said that road is not easy to walk on. Yaya's size didn't change much, but the patterns on its armor became clearer. However, the most obvious change was the small flag on its back. The burning of the Fornax gauntlet caused a huge change in Tang Tian's feelings towards the treasure. In the past, secret treasures were just treasures in his eyes, but now, he treated them more like living beings. Sai Lei scolded. What are you doing? Don't waste my time. He selectively ignored the loss he had suffered at Sai Lei's hands. Leaving the Shangwan family, Tang Tian found a secluded corner and entered the martial spirit chamber, then entered Three Spirit City. Tang Tian was immediately on guard. However, it wasn't that he hadn't improved in the past few days. Just based on its chi, the star spirit snake in front of him was of a higher level than the other star spirit beasts he had met before. Enter the spirit region from the martial spirit hall. There was a road in the soul region that led directly to the headquarters encampment. In the past, there were often people who used it. However, that road wasn't easy to walk. Bing explained. Tang Tian's face changed. Old soldier. Tang Tian frowned. If it was in the past, he would definitely have disdained Bing's words. However, after struggling in the chamber of the 18 bronze figures, Tang Tian understood how powerful the old soldier was. From Bing's tone, Tang Tian could tell that there was definitely a mechanical engineer who had offended him. Tang Tian took up a defensive stance and stared at the star spirit snake in front of him. Voila! Countless water splashed out. Suddenly, Yaya quietened down. The small flag on its back also stopped waving. It bent its waist and stared in front of it with a look of alertness. Tang Tian secretly clicked his tongue. He was somewhat impressed. Tang Tian did not retreat. The star spirit snake in front of him allowed him to have an intuitive assessment of the danger ahead. If he could not even handle this star spirit snake, then he would not be able to go deeper. The road ahead would only be more dangerous. Oscillation. His goal was to comprehend the true meaning of oscillation. The hunting spirit region was filled with danger. Occasionally, he would meet martial artists who came to hunt for spirit nuclei. However, The direction that Bing was pointing in was deserted. Tang Tian actually did not meet a single martial artist. Then you better say goodbye to them. Bing reminded Tang Tian, this time we might be staying in the spirit region for a long time. Hey, Silei, Tang Tian shouted. Silei did not seem to hear him. Tang Tian had no choice but to raise his voice and shout again. He had personally experienced how powerful this woman was. Are you for real? Tang Tian looked at Bing in disbelief. Stop pretending. Tang Tian saw Lei's expression. He raised his hand and acted as though he was going to stop her. In the middle of every feather of the blue peacock, there was an additional thin silver thread. A surge of power came from the armor. Tang Tian felt his entire body brimming with power. Tang Tian nodded his head. He did not say anything. The blue peacock appeared on the surface of his body. He had no choice but to lower his head. Tang Tian nodded his head. That's right, that's right. He did not know if it was because of this thought, but the connection between Tang Tian and the star treasure became even closer. Tang Tian's world opened up to a whole new window. Tang Tian's expression was calm and collected. He bent his waist. His right fist clenched in front of him. He grabbed the air. Wang. Countless vibrations appeared to be grabbed into his hand. In the middle of the triangular snake head, there was a human face. Silei then heard it. Her eyes slowly regained their focus. Upon seeing Tang Tian, she said, You're here. She turned and left. Tang Tian's shriveled money bag suddenly became full again. Bing did not care about Tang Tian. He muttered, The starry door can change. I have never been to a mortal constellation before, but I think if you want to return to the headquarters encampment, there is a way. The clothes on her body had been changed. It was very dry. Her wet hair was draped over her shoulders. Her face seemed to be stained with a layer of water vapor. Her originally beautiful face had an additional indescribable gentleness. Furthermore, her timid expression made her look even more pitiful. Tang Tian was embarrassed. You see, Chies said it too. There are many places that are not accurate. Silei jumped in fright. She immediately ran to sleep. It's the star spirit snake. Bing reminded Tang Tian. Silei saw Tang Tian. It was as if she did not see him. She was mumbling to herself. This young lad did not slack off at all. Suddenly, the star spirit snake spat out a ball of mist. The moment the mist left the snake's mouth, it expanded rapidly. The surrounding air started to vibrate. Ghost Claw and Wu Guang gave Tang Tian a shock that he had never experienced before. It was the first time he understood that a true martial technique could be so strong. Upon seeing that, Tang Tian frowned. Without saying a word, he shot forward and picked Silei up. He turned and asked Bing, Where's the pool? Now go and sleep. Tang Tian raised his other hand. He stopped the anxious Silei from speaking. His tone was unquestionable. Don't bargain with me. If you die from exhaustion, I'll lose a lot. That's great. Tang Tian was overjoyed. He raised his arms and cheered. Let's go. Let's go. A ray of red light flashed in the distance. 6th level. This woman won't go crazy, right? Tang Tian asked Bing worriedly. Silei, who was about to scold him, immediately shut up. Tang Tian's words struck her Achilles' heel. Not letting her touch the mechanical weapons, that was worse than killing her. Tang Tian looked at the scattered parts of the mechanical weapons beneath his feet. In this period of time, Silei had dismantled countless mechanical weapons, and the parts were everywhere. This woman was crazy. Tang Tian felt that Bing was right. He went to bid farewell to Uncle Qian. Uncle Qian guessed that Tang Tian was going to look for Missy. He did not hold him back. Instead, he gave Tang Tian many star rocks and spirit nuclei. The star spirit snake's cold eyes stared intently at Tang Tian. That expressionless face seemed to be filled with a vicious aura. The surrounding temperature dropped. Snowflakes started to fall around the star spirit snake. After saying that, Tang Tian turned and left. Silei struggled in Tang Tian's hands. But Tang Tian did not care. This woman did not care about her life. He saw that Silei's eyes were bloodshot. He knew that she had not slept for many days. Silei immediately became obedient. In this period of time, Tang Tian insisted on using his silver martial spirit to nourish the blue peacock martial spirit. These star spirit beasts absorb the ancient martial spirit shards. That's why they have human faces. Bing's tone became serious. He lowered his voice. You have to be careful. Their powers are much stronger than normal star spirit beasts. Try it. If you can't, run. We can plan this out. There was indeed a pond. It was flowing water. There was a bronze waterway. The water flowed into the pond. Following that, a rustling sound could be heard. Not long after, Silei was done bathing. But looking at Silei, who did not look like a human or a ghost, Tang Tian almost could not recognize her. Messy hair and dirty face. Her clothes were dirty and torn. She was comparable to Wu Guang. She was actually extremely tired. Her mind was in a daze. How did this fellow become so fierce? Coming out of the base, under Bing's guidance, Tang Tian started to head deeper into the spirit region. As though it was because of returning to the old haunt, Yaya became extremely lively. She kept on shouting. Three Spirit City was no different from the last time he left. But after the incident with the Lin family, the city seemed to have withered a lot. Even the people on the streets seemed to have lessened. Tang Tian did not attract anyone's attention. He first returned to the military warehouse. Young lad, I couldn't tell. You're so domineering. Bing was surprised. Seeing that Silei had gone to sleep, Tang Tian and Bing went to investigate the terrain. Tang Tian found Silei in the military warehouse. Wrong position. Tang Tian was startled. Bing was experienced and knowledgeable. These people are like that. When they meet something that they are obsessed with, they will not care about their lives. TSK. A few thousand years ago, the mechanical engineers were like that. The current mechanical engineers are still like that. In the past, only old soldiers could pass through that path. Bing sized up Tang Tian. He raised his eyebrows. Young lad, you're still far from it. The blue peacock became even stronger. Tang Tian's face was as it should be. Of course. Don't you see who it is? A godlike young lad. What can't he take down? Chapter 125. Silei, who was full of gossip, shouted unwillingly. Who? Tang Tian punched out. The air around Tang Tian started to vibrate rhythmically. The vibrations caused the air to ripple, and Tang Tian's figure became blurred and distorted. The low-cut collar was completely unable to wrap around her full breasts, hot and sexy. She nonchalantly combed the bangs in front of her forehead, regaining her pure and enchanting eyes, flashing with an unfathomable light aura. Do you want to consider the mechanical weapon? Silei's voice came from behind them. After sleeping, she had completely recovered. The blood veins in her eyes had disappeared, and she did not have the slightest bit of muddle-headedness, and had once again become the astute and powerful Silei. And I miss her a lot. I wonder how she is, but I'm not too worried. Chia has always been stronger than me and smarter than me. I have complete confidence in her. Tang Tian's face revealed a look of reminiscence, but immediately he turned his face and made a face at Silei. Young lady, do you think a godlike young man will blame himself? Huh. Also, what was that? You have already worked hard. This kind of words is not suitable for me. The sudden disappearance of the fog wall caused the star spirit snake to be shocked. The star spirit snake that was originally about to rush forward suddenly retracted its upper body and revealed a defensive posture. Countless vibrations and ripples converged on his fist, as though his fist was pulling on a bunch of thin threads. What worries can I have? Tang Tian regained his senses and laughed out loud. Suddenly, he returned to the time in Starwind City, day after day, the boring and tedious training. Because he did not want others to laugh at him, he would usually train alone in the desolate mountain people. Chia would often run over to accompany him, but most of the time, he was alone. No way. Bing cut in and explained this route was actually in the army and was not a secret. Many people would walk on this route, but the army had a clear ban. Because this route leads to the heart of the headquarters to the defense, it was a hidden danger. However, there were many people who slacked off, and they continued to do so despite being prohibited. At that time, many people were punished. After that, It was the leader who came out and let the mechanical engineers create many traps. As long as they control the mechanical weapons, they would be attacked. Tang Tian's heart shivered. An extremely cold chi drilled into his fist. His crane body energy was actually unable to dissolve it immediately. It took a full 3 seconds for the crane body energy to dissipate the chill. Tang Tian's expression was very ugly. He snorted, unconvinced. I can kill it. After saying that, he immediately got up and fled. Tang Tian scratched his head, feeling a little embarrassed. I used to have bad grades, so I had to repeat a few years. Those fine ripples appeared again, and the surrounding air also began to vibrate visibly. He carefully felt the vibrations. His outstanding intuition made him extremely sensitive to every change in his surroundings. His understanding of vibrations was much deeper than before. And then, Bing's face revealed a look of ridicule. This is the first star spirit beast that you have met, and I can guarantee that it still has other killing techniques. That's right. Bing's face revealed a look of reminiscence. In the past, we would meet a lot of them. Don't look down on the ancient martial artists. Although their martial techniques were not as complicated as now, there were many patterns simple and unadorned, but the power was rather astonishing. And these star spirit beast bodies were already very strong, and were able to unleash the full power of these martial techniques. Tang Tian was stumped by this question. What are you thinking about? Actually, I don't know what I'm thinking about, but I'm thinking about the times when I was training. Tang Tian found Bing and expressed his thoughts. Let's go back first. Bing appeared behind Tang Tian. Yeah, I'm coming. The true power in his body moved, and he clenched his fist. Outside the base, on top of a towering stone pillar, another voice shouted in Tang Tian's heart. When you were training in the past, Sai Lei suddenly became interested. You must have been very powerful in the past. Were you always number 1 in the school? Top 3? Hey. Finish talking before you leave. You can't be like this, hanging halfway. That's the most annoying. Resting his elbows on his knees, Tang Tian looked at the sky far away, lost in thought. He had been improving every day, but this time he felt that he had reached a bottleneck. The clear and crisp sound of glass breaking, the fog wall crumbled and disappeared in astonishing speed in the air. Stop it. Sai Lei rolled his eyes. You're thinking about Chia. Don't blame yourself. You've already worked very hard. Hey, sitting here alone, what's on your mind? Sai Lei casually sat beside Tang Tian and teased him. A godlike young lad. Doesn't look like someone with something on his mind. Hearing that, Tang Tian slowly retreated. The star spirit snake also knew that Tang Tian was not to be trifled with, so it stood at its original position and did not chase after him. Dusk. Tang Tian was still in disbelief and mumbled. If I had known, I would have tried it today. It was time. Wouldn't it be better to just block it? Your commander's way of thinking is so weird. Tang Tian did not understand. What killing technique? Tang Tian raised his head and looked at Bing. Cough. Tang Tian did not know how to explain, and his own dark history. If it landed in Sai Lei's hands, it would be too dangerous. He pretended and said, It's almost time to rest. I'm going to start training. Back at the base. Just like that, sitting on the mountain peak, watching the night sky darkening, watching the moon rising and becoming brighter. There's no good way. You have to open up this path yourself. Bing shook his head. I don't have any good ideas to think of. Luckily, the base is still intact. With your current progress, you just need to spend some time. But this is already the shortest path. There is no exhalation, no explosion, just a quiet punch. Bing. The fist brought along countless ripples, quietly imprinting on the fog wall. Tang Tian secretly clenched his fist. Sai Lei, who was in his normal state, immediately made Tang Tian feel the pressure and had a slight headache. All these fine ripples were formed by the true power vibrations. Tang Tian had spent a lot of effort on analyzing the true power vibrations, and his improvement was obvious. But now he had reached a bottleneck. True power was like a string. Its vibrations was the source of the vibrations. Suddenly, a fragrant wind blew, and there was one more person beside him. He had just come out from a chamber of the 18 bronze figures. His entire body was drenched in sweat, sweat dripping down his chins. His hurried breathing gradually calmed down. The anger for being ganged up on by 18 assholes also gradually subsided. I don't know. Bing's expression became serious. These star spirit beasts have all absorbed the ancient spirit general fragments. Don't look down on these ancient spirit general fragments, although they're not high level and are very fragmented, but they usually contain the martial technique imprints of the martial artist when he was alive. Once these star spirit beasts absorb these ancient martial spirit fragments, these martial technique imprints will also be absorbed by them. That was Tang Tian's problem. His true power was unable to withstand any stronger vibrations. He needed to let his true power become stronger and more condensed, stronger and more tenacious, thicker and more solid, to be able to explore further. Such a scene cannot be said to be magnificent and colorful, but seemed to have the power to calm people's hearts. The mechanical weapons here are very outstanding. If you guys are not satisfied, coincidentally, I have some insights recently. The ancient spirit beads that you gave me the last time, I have not used them. I could try to create a new generation of mechanical weapons. Sai Lei's eyes lit up with a hint of fanaticism. You can use it in actual combat and provide me with feedback and information. The ripples that were lingering around Tang Tian were attracted by Tang Tian's fists and quickly gathered towards Tang Tian's fists. Her tone changed. Then what are you thinking about alone here? Tang Tian escaped even faster. True power. Not knowing if it was because of the rays of the setting sun or because of the young man's flamboyance, Sai Lei's mind was distracted for a moment. Her long eyelashes drooped down, hiding the pure and enchanting world. She snorted. Egomaniac. I want to see how far you can go. Uncle, let's begin. I have long wanted to experience the ancient martial techniques. Using battle to nurture battle. It sounds like an expert style. The spirit region's dusk was different from normal planets. The sky was a faint blood-red color. The sunset glow was like strands of red seaweed hanging in the sky. The orange-yellow setting sun slowly set, and the amber moon quietly rose. Every time Sai Lei's eyes revealed a fanatical look, the pressure that enveloped Tang Tian's heart would immediately disappear. Stayed back for so many years. Sai Lei was stunned. She could not believe her own ears, her face looking like she had seen a ghost. No way. Which school is your school? To be so strong that even with your standard, you can only stay back a year. Oh my God, there is such a strong school in this world. I actually did not know. You must tell me. Tang Tian stared intently at the star spirit snake. The star spirit snake also stared intently at Tang Tian, both of them in a stalemate. Tang Tian was stunned. After a long while, he stammered, "You mean these star spirit beasts know martial techniques?" His way of thinking has always been weird. Bing waved his hand. If you do not use the mechanical weapons and rely on your own strength to pass through this road, you will not be punished. Leader thinks that this kind of action should be praised. Sai Lei was stunned. Not suitable for you? Tang Tian stopped, his face full of perspiration, mist rising, but he did not feel it, his head lowered, his gaze staring intently at his own fist. Bing glanced at him. Relax, you will have plenty of chances. The afterglow of the setting sun shone on the young man's untamed face. Clenching his fist, he bent his thumb and pointed at himself, arrogantly saying, "Godlike young man is destined to become the strongest martial artist." In my dictionary, how can there be words like, "You have already worked very hard"? But this string, its thickness, toughness, and hardness, all decided the intensity of the vibrations it could withstand. Then what do we do now? Tang Tian looked at Bing. Such a powerful cold chi. Chapter 126. Using battle to nurture battle, the effect was the best. This brat, as expected, has some skills. Idiot. The ripples converged at an astonishing speed, and a transparent ball of light quietly and quickly formed in the snake's mouth and was immediately swallowed. You still have the strength to fight. Bing mocked. Tang Tian stared at the star spirit snake in front of him. The last time he retreated, Tang Tian was still brooding over it. He did not expect to meet it again, and he was immediately excited. The snake's taut tail suddenly became soft in midair. Like a steel whip, it curled towards Tang Tian's neck. The Star Spirit Snake in mid-air, without any warning. The Star Spirit Snake's eyeballs suddenly popped out, and its entire body froze. If not for the blue peacock blocking, his entire body would have been covered with a layer of ice. The cold air around the Star Spirit Snake suddenly became dense, and suddenly a cold light from below, shwa, went straight for Tang Tian's face. This was Tang Tian's new discovery. "Do you accept Star Spirit Beast here?" Tang Tian asked. The Star Spirit Snake's momentary confusion, to Tang Tian, was the best opportunity. Hearing that, the shop assistant looked at Tang Tian from head to toe, and his eyes constricted. Tang Tian's body still carried the killing intent from killing the Star Spirit Snake, and the shop assistant knew how powerful it was, and immediately said, "Yes, of course we do. I wonder what level of Star Spirit Beast you hunted. Let's start with you." SSSSS. If it was before, Tang Tian would definitely be at a loss when faced with such a situation. But inside the chamber of the 18 bronze figures, being at a disadvantage, getting hit, etc., was normal. At this time, the most important thing was to not give the opponent the chance to continue attacking. Yaya skipped over. Seeing the corpse of the Star Spirit Snake on the floor, its eyes lit up. It raised the little bow in its hand. Using the bowstring and the blade, it started to cut the Star Spirit Snake. Tang Tian had a misconception. The snaketail's attack was like a sword expert, the tip of the sword flicking. Thinking about what Bing had said, these Star Spirit Beasts merged with the ancient martial spirit fragments, and also inherited the martial techniques from the fragments. Rank 6, Star Soul Snake. Tang Tian did not waste any time and took out the parts of the Star Soul Snake. I wonder how much the rest of the things can be sold for. Tang Tian rubbed his chin in anticipation. It was as fast as lightning, and in the blink of an eye, it was in front of Tang Tian. Sizzle. Tang Tian's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Even with true power, Tang Tian's palms were numb. He hurriedly threw the ice ball in his hand far away. The ice ball drew a parabola and fell more than 100 feet away, shattering into pieces. Where he landed, a thick layer of ice immediately formed. Peacock. The Star Spirit Beast carried the inertia and crashed head first into Tang Tian, who was enveloped in blue light. "Huh, I knew you were going to use this move." His movements were swift and agile, causing Tang Tian to be dumbfounded. Tang Tian nodded. He sat down and started to summarize the battle. Tang Tian was embarrassed, but said honestly, "I need to rest for a day." Tang Tian lowered his head. "Who?" The snake's tail brushed past his scalp. "These spirit nuclei have merged with the ancient martial spirit fragments and are not pure enough, so they can't be sold for a good price." Bing explained, "But to Yaya, they're good stuff. I remember there was a guy in the army who specially collected these spirit nuclei and fed them to Bud Spirit Generals. In the end, his Bud Spirit Generals were very powerful. Nothing could make people more focused than the threat of death. There was no kind of improvement that was faster than in battle. This was the first Star Spirit Beast that Tang Tian killed. So fast, a fist wrapped with countless ripples landed on the snake's body. Pa! The sound was not loud, but the snake's body trembled. Where Tang Tian's fist landed, countless cracks spread out like a spider web. Seems like it can be done later on, but it requires the Bud Spirit General's strength to reach a certain level. Bing recalled, and was somewhat uncertain. Tang Tian's eyes blurred, and his vision was completely occupied by the huge snake's body. He was shocked and immediately protected his vitals. The snake's body coiled together, and there was no flaw. Bang! The snake's body seemed to have been stuffed with a big firecracker and exploded. The extremely cold fog rapidly corroded the blue peacock's feathers. In the blink of an eye, the blue peacock was covered with a layer of frost. 6th level spirit nuclei. Tang Tian's face was filled with pain. Battles were forever different from training. Even though the chamber of the 18 bronze figures was so intense, it was still incomparable to battles. In battles, a little carelessness could result in death. Tang Tian roared. Both his arms bent in front of his body, and the armor on his body shone brightly, and a layer of faint blue light floated. He exhaled, and his feet sank into the ground, and like an arrow leaving the bow, he rushed towards the star spirit snake. If not for the star spirit beast's last attack, facing the snake with layers upon layers of snake scales, it would not have been easy for him to break through its defense. The battle experience in the chamber of the 18 bronze figures taught Tang Tian, if you hit the opponent's first punch, don't miss the chance to give him a second punch. Tang Tian noticed that the star spirit snake's cold chi had decreased by a lot. It seemed like this cold fog, the star spirit snake was not endless. Facing this slash, Tang Tian did not dodge. A wave of energy that could topple the mountains and overturn the seas came, and his entire body flew out horizontally. Ping! Tang Tian's heart trembled, and with a tap of his toes, his body flashed. This light brushed past his body, and the cold aura caused goosebumps to form on Tang Tian's skin. Shwa shwa shwa. Tang Tian, who was in mid-air, twisted his waist and stabilized his body. From the corner of his eyes, he saw the star spirit snake opening its bloody mouth, and like an angry arrow, it whizzed towards him. The fist contained a strong, vibrating force, and the penetrating force was extremely strong. This vibration would seep into the opponent's body. Even those bronze people who did not have any senses would be frozen for a short period of time. Bing floated out, and with a glance, he had an expression of being used to it. Although the Bud Spirit General's level is low, but they are smart and capable. In a while, give it the spirit nucleus, and it will be able to swallow the spirit nucleus to become stronger. He was now able to cause the air within a radius of 3 feet to vibrate and form a vibrating circle. As long as the opponent was within the vibrating circle, they would be affected, and to Tang Tian, who was an expert in close combat, this was an exceptional method. The bloody mouth opened wide, and the stench of blood rushed straight towards Tang Tian's face. A huge force came through, but Tang Tian's body did not move an inch. Although this slash was sharp, but to the number 11 bronze figure in the chamber of the 18 bronze figures, the force was still lacking. But looking at the motionless star spirit snake on the ground, he heaved a sigh of relief. "All right," Tang Tian then shouted towards Yaya. "The spirit nucleus is for you. The rest is for me." After flying through the air for more than 10 feet, Tang Tian fell heavily onto the ground. After a while, Tang Tian crawled up in a sorry state. Both of his arms were in so much pain that it felt like they were broken. Tang Tian's vision darkened, and with an even faster speed, he flew backwards. The snake's tail was as straight as a sword and slashed diagonally. The star spirit snake was in so much pain that its snake body shrunk and suddenly spat out a cold mist. This cold mist immediately enveloped the snake's body. Tang Tian felt the cold piercing to his bones. This cold mist was actually like needles, continuously drilling into his body. Tang Tian's vibrations had already integrated into his various martial techniques. The current moon hand blade was like a piece of violently vibrating sharp blade. Its power was a notch higher. The vacuum ball exploded in the soft stomach of the snake. Most probably the inside of this big fellow would be smashed into pieces. The snake's scales flew everywhere, and the snake's body had 3 extremely fine wounds. The shop assistant's expression became even more respectful and said respectfully, "Please wait for a moment. The shopkeeper will be here soon." Yaya squeaked happily and worked even harder. The battle was short and intense, and his entire body was sore. It was the snake's tail. The star spirit snake did not expect the surrounding air to suddenly vibrate chaotically, and these vibrations passed through the air and into its body. Although the vibrations were not enough to injure it, but it disrupted its rhythm. The star spirit beast was as though it was facing a great enemy. Its body coiled up, the snake head raised, its cold snake eyes staring intently at Tang Tian. "Dang! Vacuum ball!" After recovering his strength, Tang Tian returned to 3 Spirit City and casually walked into a material shop. In Tang Tian's left hand, a transparent light ball appeared. At this time, Tang Tian had already rushed close to the star spirit snake, his fist clenched, his true power vibrated. Buzz, the surrounding air immediately became chaotic. At this time, the star spirit beast finally recovered from the shock. With a roar, its entire body bounced up, dragging the snake tail on the ground. It bounced up like a gigantic sword. It slashed vertically. 3 moonhand blades hit the snake's body. Bang! The vacuum ball broke. Hiss! The surrounding mist rushed in crazily. He carefully walked to the front of the star spirit snake. The star spirit snake was not moving. It was already dead. Countless vibrations flew out of his fist and into the star spirit snake's bloody mouth. Although the vibrations had a strong penetrating power, but in this aspect, it was not as good as the crane body energy. But Tang Tian's crane body energy, without a higher level crane style chi manual against stronger and stronger enemies, the effect was getting weaker and weaker. Tang Tian bared his teeth and shook his arms. Only then did he feel better. The last pounce, the star spirit beast seemed to have used all its strength. The light aura on Tang Tian's body dimmed. After Tang Tian's understanding of vibrations deepened, the vacuum ball became easy to use. This vacuum ball was the size of a bamboo basket, much bigger than before. He was now poor, mainly because he had distributed all the points. Now to buy things, he could only use star rocks and spirit nuclei. Although Uncle Qian had given him many star rocks, but the Shangwan clan had just gotten out of trouble, and their wealth was limited. The snake tail bounced up high, and Tang Tian took the opportunity to get close. Tang Tian suddenly grinned. In mid-air, facing the snake's mouth, he forcefully twisted his waist and punched. Tang Tian did not say anything. The heavenly dragon energy flowed along his fist and punched the gap between the 2 parts of the snake's body. Can't we just feed at the ancient martial spirit fragments? Tang Tian asked curiously. Hey, little snake, you were lucky the last time, but you won't be so lucky today. Tang Tian's left hand was like a big mouth, sucking in the cold air with all its might. The cold mist quickly shrunk, once again revealing Tang Tian and the star spirit snake. And in Tang Tian's left hand, there was an ice ball. Tang Tian stared at the star spirit snake. His eyes did not blink, and his mouth said, "Let's sell this thing first." Bing said, "Anyway, the base is here. You can rest well." He raised his fist to block. Bang! Tang Tian was extremely pleased. Since he had decided to open the tunnel, the first thing Tang Tian thought of was how to break the cold mist of the star spirit snake. Chapter 127. They are just a group of bronze men, don't tell me. Even if you faced the bronze man, defeat would make you hate it so much. Bing's tone was obviously gloating. There was no need to be so desperate. He threw away all the complicated thoughts and started to study the circulation route of his true power. He had used the crane body the most and had the deepest understanding. There were some places where he could not explain clearly, but he could feel if it was right or wrong. Tang Tian suddenly thought of something. He remembered that the old man had once said that the crane body of the crane sect had been lost. Could it be, why did you have to do this? Why did you have to do this? Let me see if there are any suitable cards. Tang Tian did not have any guilty thoughts. He just looked around curiously. It was his first time seeing such a high-class shop. He did not know that he had already exposed himself as a country bumpkin. He was extremely excited. The treasure card house was indeed powerful. They could even get the spirit cards of the crane sect. They were really powerful. Bing looked at the crazy Tang Tian and was dumbstruck. In his long career as an instructor, he had never seen such a stubborn and crazy person. He could not help but be lost in thought. Bing looked at Tang Tian's face and was in a daze. That ferocious, stubborn, battered, and bruised face. These were the 3 gold grade cards that Jing Hao had taken out when they traded for the training spirit devices at the Crack of Energy. Rank 5 cards, Great Monument Palm, Tan Tue, and Scattering Vortex. Tang Tian did not say a word. He crawled up and started meditating. The shop assistants did not look down on Tang Tian's country bumpkin expression. They were used to seeing the world. The smile on their faces did not change. "May I ask, what type do you need?" Suddenly, A pair of bright eyes lit up in the darkness. The true power in Tang Tian's body surged and rushed straight to his throat. Without thinking, he roared towards the sky. The roar was like the cry of a crane. If he could not even beat these assholes, how could he pass through the passage? That's right, attack. One was gold and one was silver. Furthermore, the crane body energy was famous for being difficult to train. The difference between the two was like heaven and earth. But to Tang Tian, the crane body energy was more practical than the heavenly dragon energy. After mastering the vibrations, the sharp crane body energy was obviously more suitable for him than the explosive heavenly dragon energy. As long as he persevered and slowly endured, he would eventually emerge victorious. Everyone who had walked this path had walked out the same way. Your starting point is originally lower than theirs, so the difficulty will be higher than theirs, and you will spend more time than them. This is very normal, very normal. The young man's flame-like eyes entered Bing's eyes. Come, welcome. As expected of a high-end card shop, Silei's broken card shop simply could not be compared to it. The shop assistant was not too surprised. To be able to come here, he was definitely not someone who could be dismissed with a normal spirit card. She was very familiar with the cards in the shop, and very quickly found the relevant information. Yes. 5 heavenly dragons, a gold card, priced at 6 million star coins. It was guaranteed that he could comprehend the heavenly dragon energy. Rank 5 crane-style chi manual. Our shop has one, but it's a silver grade card, and it costs 300,000 star coins. Are there any 5 heavenly dragons? Or rank 5 crane-style chi manual? Tang Tian asked. May I know how I can help you? A young lady dressed in a rose Chong Sam walked over. Tang Tian's idea of buying spirit cards was not a spur-of-the-moment idea. Asshole! Tang Tian looked around, quickly calculating the price of the sofa, the cost of the refreshments, the salary of the beauties, and finally started to worry if he had enough star rocks in his pocket. Back at the base, Tang Tian did not immediately use the card, but meditated to recover his spirit. If he could not even beat these assholes, how could he save Chie? Without saying a word, meditate. How could he? Bang, bang, bang. Tang Tian fell out with a bloody nose and swollen face. With a howl, Tang Tian rushed into the chamber of the 18 bronze figures. Returning from a rewarding journey, Tang Tian went straight to Treasure Card House. Treasure Card House was very eye-catching and easy to find in 3 Spirit City. Tang Tian did not spend much effort and entered the shop. Tang Tian came out of the chamber of the 18 bronze figures with a bloody nose and swollen face. His eyes were spitting fire. He excitedly challenged the chamber of the 18 bronze figures, thinking that with the crane body energy, he would be successful. Never did he expect that number 9 would still sit on him. These 2 cards were what Tang Tian needed the most. Regardless if it was the heavenly dragon energy or the crane body energy, they were very practical. The shopkeeper was very familiar with 3 Spirit City and said, Treasure Card House, although the price is expensive, there are many good things. The shopkeeper praised. This piece of snakeskin is the best rank 6 snakeskin I have ever seen. It should be a mutated star spirit snake that absorbed an ancient martial spirit fragment. Although the spirit nucleus is not worth much, the quality of the snakeskin is much better than the average star spirit snake. This snakeskin, I am willing to buy it for 300,000 star coins. A pair of snake teeth, 20,000 star coins. A piece of snake tendon, 50,000 star coins. A total of 370,000 star coins. What do you think? Yo, 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 crane body energy, break, break, break. 40 times. Regardless of whether it was in the chamber of the 18 bronze figures or today's battle, he found his weakness, true power. He had broken through to the 5th level, and his true power was more vigorous than before, but his other improvements were limited. Great! The shopkeeper was overjoyed and passed a star coin card to Tang Tian. Why don't you go around and find out the prices? My shop is always fair. I only hope that if you have any gains in the future, you will patronize my shop. The shopkeeper carefully looked at every material, but the star spirit snake skin was the longest. Yaya's cutting technique was perfect. The entire piece of snakeskin was picked up, and the fine bronze scales on it rattled. Tang Tian was surprised. The difference between the two prices was huge, but after thinking about it, he understood. Comprehension would vary from person to person, but the route of true power circulation would not change. After trying to circulate it for a few days, Tang Tian realized the comprehension contained in the spirit card was obviously wrong. It was an attack that would not rest until it was captured, filled with a bitter atmosphere. After the transaction, Tang Tian immediately returned to the base. A faint fragrance, quiet and pleasant. There was a velvet sofa, a small tea table with tea and desserts. The tea was still steaming. The smiling shop assistants, the wide-slit cheongsam, all of them were beautiful and moving. But Tang Tian was worried. If they were not careful, the clothes would be ruined. No problem. Tang Tian nodded straightforwardly, took the star coin card, and suddenly asked, "In Three Spirits City, which card shop is more reliable?" An hour later, Tang Tian jumped up, raised his arms and roared, and rushed into the chamber of the 18 bronze figures. 2 hours later, a warm and sweet female voice, filled with familiarity, made people unconsciously let down their guard. For 3 whole days, Tang Tian was in seclusion, training the crane-style chi manual. This brat, does he not know what is discouraged? Does he not know what is depression? Does he not know what is pain? Does he not know what is fatigue? Does he not know what is long in the future? Go and die, you assholes. Asshole. But even if he knew, Tang Tian would not care. Asshole, you are too polite. The shopkeeper bowed slightly. An hour later, the roar sounded again. Something is wrong. He kept trying, the true power in his body gathering and dispersing, continuously trying to outline the shape of a crane. Tang Tian nodded and cupped his fists towards the shopkeeper. Thank you very much. Tang Tian jumped up and laughed out loud. I can't even beat these assholes. He did not know why, but he always felt that these experiences had many parts that were very awkward. He had seen arrogant and untamed people, seen crazy and perverted people, all of them, finally succeeded in passing the chamber of the 18 bronze figures. But not a single person would use such a desperate stance to attack the chamber of the 18 bronze figures. Sai Lei was shocked by Tang Tian's sudden howl. Her hands trembled, and a part was placed wrongly. She immediately flew into a rage and angrily smashed things. This idiot. Asshole. I said, it's useless. You have to properly experience the staining fall. The vibration is indeed very useful, but borrowing strength to fight strength is also a very high-level technique. Of course, with your current foundation, to understand borrowing strength to fight strength is still difficult. But at least there is some hope in this direction. Never. I want that rank 5 crane-style chi manual. Tang Tian straightforwardly took out half of his family's wealth. When he opened his eyes again, he had recovered to his most perfect state, took out the rank 5 crane-style chi manual spirit card, and poured his true power into it. Immediately, an indescribable feeling floated up from the bottom of his heart, and countless complicated routes appeared in his mind. 20 times. Rank 5 crane body energy. Ha ha ha. Too powerful. Wah wah wah. I'm indeed a godlike young lad. This guy. Bing's face turned pale. Tang Tian was familiar with this state, and carefully sorted out the understanding of the spirit card, but very quickly he frowned. Bang bang bang. Tang Tian was once again thrown out of the chamber of the 18 bronze figures. Thinking back to the time when he was torturing the bronze mechanical ostrich, Yu Bao also mentioned this shop. It seemed that this shop, Treasure Card House, was rather reputable. Tang Tian's eyes suddenly turned blood red, his face ferocious, and in his hands were 3 cards, 3 shining gold cards. Too awesome. Such a young lad's face should have a pair of eyes that burned like fire. Tang Tian's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. He was originally not a broad-minded person. To fall into the same pit twice, he already felt that it was humiliating enough. To fall into the same pit so many times, this could no longer be described as humiliating. He had never experienced so many failures, and what made it hard for him to accept was that he still could not find a way. 370,000 star coins. This price far exceeded Tang Tian's expectations. He did not say anything, and simply said, "Okay." If he could not even beat these assholes, how could he become the strongest martial artist? Under Bing's shocked gaze, Tang Tian did not say anything and used all 3 cards. How could he? Even these assholes could not beat. Tang Tian clenched his teeth. The humiliation that he had accumulated for a long time was ignited, and his remaining rationality was burnt cleanly. Chapter 128. Big Nine roared from time to time, waved his heavy fists, raised his legs to trample, but against the agile Tang Tian, it was useless. Unfortunately, he was entangled by number 1, and all his efforts were in vain. He should have let Big Nine move. That way they would not be able to block his position. Number 9 bronze figure's body was like a large shield, firmly protecting his back. He opened his bloodshot eyes wide, his body slightly bent, staring at the bronze figure opposite him without showing any weakness. Suddenly, the multi-handed monster triplets pulled apart, each standing on one side, forming a triangle, locking Big Nine's surroundings. And number 1 bronze figure broke away from Tang Tian and jumped out of Big Nine's surroundings. Big Nine hugged his head and squatted. Anyway, his skin was thick, but he did not move at all. Tang Tian licked his lips. In the previous battle, he had already successfully pulled the multi-handed monster triplets into a straight line and took advantage of the situation to get close to number 11. And with a great monument palm infused with the heavenly dragon energy, he directly sent him flying. That's right. Silei did not refute this point. She continued, but look at the other sects when they reach the higher levels, the weapons they have. Star treasures, silver-level star treasures. The martial spirit is already very strong, not to mention the gold level. More importantly, it is even smarter. Onyx Soul's Blood Meridian's power are also abnormally strong. Those astonishing blood meridians are like a huge treasure trove. Their bodies can be trained to an astonishing level. Clan Union's Spirit General style, although their Spirit Generals are very abnormal, but equally strong. Look at the current few mainstream sects. You will realize at the higher levels, they all have a common characteristic, more reliance on the martial spirit. He had to think of a way. He had not given up and was trying hard to think of a way. Yes, Silei was very familiar with it. Star Treasure Martial Spirit, the activation of blood meridians, is also closely related to the martial spirit, and the Spirit General style is even more so, because no matter if it is the power of the body or the power of the mechanism, there will always be a limit. Only the power of the martial spirit has a wider space. Although sometimes she was arrogant to the point of being annoying, but she had to admit, out of all the geniuses she had seen, she was the most optimistic about Tang Tian. At least, there was one thing: Tang Tian would never complain of being tired. How are these mechanical weapons? Bing's gaze landed on Silei. Staining Fall had improved a lot, but it was still not enough. Silei jumped in fright. She turned around. Seeing Bing, she was startled. "You don't need to accompany him to train?" Tang Tian was stunned. Yes, but I now realize that this problem is not so simple." Silei smiled bitterly. "I need to completely digest these technologies before it's possible. This is a huge project. Mechanical weapons can amplify true power and strengthen martial techniques, which also means that it needs to be able to withstand true power. But high-level true power had a strong destructive power, and normal materials were unable to withstand it. I have analyzed these Southern Cross bronzes. The true power they can withstand can at most reach the 8th level. True power above the 9th level is unbearable." Silei spoke frankly with assurance. "What was this guy doing?" Silei muttered. "It should be able to handle low-level and mid-level battles, but it won't be suitable for high-level battles." The scattering vortex was indeed very useful. If he could move a little faster and create more whirlpools, he could form a group of whirlpools and pull the opponent's body. As long as the opponent revealed an opening, he could use the Great Monument Palm to finish him off. Bing declined to comment. These mechanical weapons are just ordinary standard equipment and are given to ordinary soldiers. The mechanical weapons used by experts will not have a situation where they cannot withstand true power. Tang Tian's ears were filled with his own bellows panting, and the bronze man in front of him swayed in his vision. The continuous battles caused his spirit to be extremely fatigued, but he did not give up. Out of nowhere, a stab suddenly appeared from Big Nine's crotch, like a venomous snake in the shadows, giving a fatal blow. Most of his methods failed, but there were some methods that allowed him to see hope of success. The attacks whistled like raindrops, and Tang Tian hurriedly dodged, battered and exhausted. Bronze Man number 9's huge body was like a puppet being pulled by strings, swaying left and right. When he retreated out of the chamber of the 18 bronze figures, he gritted his teeth. Damn 11. Tang Tian summed up the gains and losses in his heart. He was suppressing a bellyful of anger, but he also knew that his strength was not enough, and just relying on courage would not be able to defeat these bastards. Tang Tian hid in the shadow of Bronze Man number 9, his left hand holding on to countless fine, vibrating patterns, and the 5 fingers of his right hand flicked at an astonishing speed. One after another small vortex flew out from his fingers, continuously flying into the corners of the Bronze Man number 9's body. This was the experience and knowledge that Tang Tian had gained after a continuous 122 attacks. He was starting to get used to fighting in such an extreme environment, regardless of whether it was Tan Toei, Sinshou, Great Monument Palm, Tyrant's Angry Finger, etc. The martial techniques were as smooth as flowing water, so fast that he did not even need to think. Bronze Man number 1 had great strength and was good at close combat, but with other bronze men around, it would be affected instead. Bing finally revealed an interested expression. What do you mean? What progress do you have? Suddenly, Bing's voice came from behind her. Very good. The Southern Cross Army is indeed the peak of the mechanical techniques era. These mechanical weapons have many mechanical techniques which have now been lost, are very exquisite. Sai Lei was beaming with joy. Look at these joints. The joints now are made even more exquisite, but in terms of performance, they are far from being as practical as these joints. Tante was wide open. The leg was like an axe chopping, very domineering, mixing with the crane body energy. It should be able to become sharp. The freed hands could use the vibrating circles to disturb the opponent. It was very difficult to coordinate the two martial techniques, but if it could be done, it should be very powerful. Other than strength and weight, the Bronze Man number 9 did not have any other strong points, and its reaction was very slow. But what a hot-blooded young man. Great Monument Palm was very powerful, but its attack speed was slow, suitable for finishing, not suitable for a high-tempo chaotic battle. He could consider mixing with the Heavenly Dragon energy. This way, against a skinny bronze man like the Bronze Man number 11, it could have the effect of sending him flying. Suddenly, his figure froze. Thinking about the martial spirit contract she had signed with Tang Tian, she felt that it would be best if her expectations could be realized. Her fate was tied together with this fellow. No need. Bing shook his head, thinking about Tang Tian's training these few days. He felt that there was indeed no need. At the start, he still wanted to give pointers to Tang Tian. As the chief instructor of the army, his analysis of battles had his own unique points. But very quickly, he realized Tang Tian was continuously trying out new methods. The other bronze men no longer rushed forward, but stuck in their positions. Ping, ping, pang, pang. The weapons in their hands smashed towards Big Nine. Again, Sai Lei muttered to himself, and then directly ignored Bing, minding his own business and starting to attack. The rhythm of the vibrating, if it could be changed, then the effect of the interference should be even more outstanding. The Bronze Man number 11 was a big problem. His sword techniques were superb, his thrusts were especially accurate, always able to find a flaw in the chaotic battle and kill with one strike. Tang Tian had fallen under this fellow's sword a few times, but Tang Tian also realized, as long as he could close the distance, close combat, the power of the Bronze Man number 11 would decrease sharply. Tang Tian's face changed. He immediately understood. Upon talking about the mechanical weapons, Sai Lei's spirit was immediately roused. In this dark place, she had been addicted to these mechanical weapons for so long. Finally being able to find a like-minded person to talk to, she immediately brought up the topic. Using the scattering vortex to stick to the opponent's body was the best shield. Again, Lei understood and immediately became excited. This is very simple. Let me think. What style should I change to? It must be flashy. I have an idea. Intuition, instinct. Although the majority of the methods, with one look, he could see that they would definitely fail, but he did not say anything to interfere. Tang Tian's body froze. His sword was pierced. Tang Tian clenched his teeth. His legs fiercely stomped on the ground. His body was like an arrow, rushing straight towards the bronze men. Lei's mouth could not help but reveal a knowing smile. Tang Tian was the most unique person she had met in so many years. He never concealed his ambition. He was always so confident. Oh, the bronze man number 9 is an exceptional big shield. What's the matter? Lei asked, again, relying more on the martial spirit. Bing revealed a pondering expression. Scattering vortex in a small area, it was very useful. Its power was not considered strong, but it was fast, one whirlpool after another. It was very useful in a chaotic battle. The weakness was that it could not kill in one hit. It could only be used for a stalemate. The last attack was to use the Great Monument Palm. This combination could be tried. Failure. 4, 5, 6, the multi-handed monster triplets. They definitely could not let the 3 of them occupy different positions. It was best to pull the 3 of them in a straight line. This had to be thought of, don't rush, take it slow. Bing was rather patient. He thought of another matter. Oh, right. I have something to ask of you. The 122nd time. Bing did not disturb. In his eyes, the mechanical engineer's appearance was normal. Who? Bing's eyes flashed a look of shock. Schwa. His figure suddenly disappeared. Hearing these praises, Bing's face did not reveal the slightest bit of happiness, but frowned. Then do you think these mechanical weapons, can they adapt to the current battle? There were many obedient warriors, but very few who could think, and in his career as an instructor, those warriors who were good at thinking, in the end, did not have low achievements. Number 11 was too sinister. I must first find a chance to get rid of him. I must try to reduce the number of enemies I have to face. The 193rd time. Please modify a bronze mechanical ostrich. Bing explained, the antiques of the Southern Cross Army are still too eye-catching. I hope you can modify it to suit the current style and not remind people of the Southern Cross Army. On the contrary, Tang Tian always borrowed the strength of Big 9, using the scattering vortex to lead, trying to make Big 9 lose its balance. Lei was a little surprised. Tang Tian had not come out for a few days. Just that every once in a while, there would be a roar and roar coming from where Tang Tian was training. In this kind of chaotic battle, even the most exquisite footwork was useless. To make use of the opponent's body was the most crucial point. Tang Tian's expression was extremely focused. His valiant intuition was displayed to the extreme. Tang Tian's own ideas and him pointing out the problem, both were completely different for growth. Bing knew this quality of continuous thinking was very valuable. The 156th time. This group of assholes, I understand. Bing was enlightened. Fuse the mechanical technique with a martial spirit. Chapter 129. Tang Tian's move, just now, was purposely baiting number 11 to make a mistake. Number 11 was the most sinister and dangerous, and was the first one that Tang Tian needed to eliminate. Lei snorted and turned to do her own thing. Compared to the previous few times, Tang Tian's speed was much slower. But if one looked closely, one would realize that his rhythm had changed and became even harder to grasp. Looking at the bronze men lying all over the floor, Tang Tian was dumbstruck, as though he could not believe his own eyes. Chi, are you sure you did not go the wrong way? Tang Tian asked Bing. Such an important battle, and he actually did not see it. Who, after being taught for a total of 293 battles, he finally relaxed. Fatigue and exhaustion were like a tide, quietly creeping in. He forced his eyelids open, but for some reason, his eyelids became heavier, and the world in front of him was shrouded in darkness. Tang Tian's mind trembled, and all his complacency disappeared. He laughed. Aha, no rush, no rush. Let's first find Xie. Find Xie. Then we can start. There will be plenty of time. There will be plenty of time. He was beside Big Nine. Like a butterfly flying through flowers, he did not look fast, but those weapons were always a few millimeters away, brushing past his body and landing on empty air. Suddenly, his waist was like a soft straw, lightly swinging to the left, and then with an even faster speed, he dodged to the right. But the surrounding air suddenly trembled. Number One's fist power immediately stagnated, and Tang Tian's great monument palm was like a huge monument, crashing into Number One's fist. Don't forget about the matter of you killing Kong Yulin. The Southern Cross Army's things are too eye-catching. Being reminded, I got Sai Lei to modify one for you. Uncle, let's go. Tang Tian shouted, and urged Flamingo to rush out. Breakthrough of the chamber of the 18 bronze figures. Bing quietly looked at Tang Tian. His heart could not calm down for a long time. Wah good. Dong. Bing floated in like a ghost. That painted poker face said, Yo, the young man is awake. To be able to break through the chamber of the 18 bronze figures. I'm very surprised. When Bing opened the chamber of the 18 bronze figures, he never thought that Tang Tian would pass. He just wanted to give Tang Tian more pressure so that Tang Tian could grow faster. His sleeping face was covered in bruises, and his face was beyond recognition. His clothes were torn and tattered, and his exposed skin was covered in wounds. As Big Gio's body crashed to the ground, only Tang Tian was left standing. Without another word, Tang Tian jumped onto Flamingo's back. Flamingo was like a gust of wind as it began to run around the training grounds. Ha ha, bastard, I did it. Tang Tian didn't pay attention to Number One who was pouncing towards him. Scattering vortex caused Big Nine to stagger. Boom, Big Nine stepped on a bronze man. Number One wasn't prepared for Big Nine's movements and hurriedly stopped his body. I did it. If anyone wanted to talk about training with him now, he would puke. Sai Lei's eyes flickered with electricity. His killing intent was overflowing. Are you insulting my work? Hey, young man, if you don't know what's good, then shut up. Compared to the bronze mechanical ostrich, it is even more outstanding. Its weight is only a third of the bronze mechanical ostrich, which means that its energy consumption is only a third of the bronze mechanical ostrich. Its speed compared to the bronze mechanical ostrich is not any slower, and the key is that its short-distance sprinting speed is comparable to a rank 6 light body technique. Taking advantage of the gap when Big Jiu stabilized his body, he suddenly appeared in front of Number One and used a great monument palm. Tang Tian was like a ghost, appearing beside Number 4 out of thin air. Taking a deep breath, his true power surged, and his palm shook, causing Number 4 to subconsciously block. His two legs were like two shiny, heavy axes, alternating and swinging. So powerful. Tang Tian was intimidated, but he didn't believe it. The mount in front of him suddenly shrunk. The bronze mechanical ostrich's body was taller than Tang Tian, and its two bird legs were extremely thick. But in front of him was an ostrich that was about to starve to death, as thin as a match, and only half the height of the bronze mechanical ostrich. Its two bird legs were as thin as a reed stick. Number 293. Number 4 seemed to be hit by two heavy cannons and flew out in a straight line. Coincidentally, Number 5 and Number 6 were in the same line and immediately rolled into a ball like a gourd on the ground. Won't you know once you try? Young man, Sai Lei said proudly. Bing smiled and nodded. That's right. The food that Tang Tian brought with him were all non-perishable dry rations. At this moment, he didn't care about the taste and ate and drank like crazy. The sharp tan Tue did not use the crane body energy, but the heavenly dragon energy this time. Eat, eat, eat. There's actually nothing left. Tang Tian touched his belly, as if he hadn't had enough. His belly was obviously round. Number 9's position was constantly changing, and the other bronze men could only follow suit. Tang Tian suddenly shot up from Number 9's feet like a ghost, and coincidentally, the triplets were in a straight line. Bing, We've already wasted a lot of time. We need to hurry. Tang Tian quickly changed the topic. Let's start opening the passageway now. Then let's do it. Surprisingly, Bing didn't mock Tang Tian, but turned and walked out. Oh right, I prepared a new mount for you. 293 rounds, almost 300 rounds. Even if he ate 300 buns consecutively, he would still vomit. Wahahaha. That's right. Uncle, you're such a short-sighted fellow. How can you understand the limitless potential of this godlike young man? Tang Tian wasn't the least bit modest, and with a face full of pride, he laughed with his hands on his hips. Number one's body trembled. Following that, his tone changed. He squinted his eyes, imitating the demeanor of an expert, lowered his voice, and said in a low, muffled voice, "My big axe is hungry and thirsty. Are you sure this thing won't collapse when I sit on it? Oh my God, which ostrich is so skinny?" Tang Tian's face darkened. That crazy woman must be bearing a grudge for what happened in the past, and is purposely tormenting me. Bing's mouth curled into an arc. Are you sure you've rested well? Tang Tian actually finished all the rations in the Aquarius Marshall cabinet in one breath. How did this fellow win? Tang Tian, who was following behind Bing, stopped, and with a stupefied face, he pointed to a place not far away. Is that the thing over there? Number one did not back down, and brazenly exchanged blows with him. But this fellow actually passed the chamber of the 18 bronze figures. Tante, that was infused with the crane body energy, was like two extremely sharp, heavy axes, and Tante, that was infused with the heavenly dragon energy, was like two heavy cannon hammers. Tang Tian's two legs did not hold back, and gave it his all. Seems a little tired. The tip of a sword suddenly brushed past Tang Tian's waist. Tang Tian fell to the ground facing the sky, and after a few seconds his snores shook the sky, and his stomach rose and fell rhythmically. Tang Tian once again shrunk back into Big Nine's shadow. Very quickly, Tang Tian rushed to the place where he met the star spirit snake, but there was nothing there. Of course, Tang Tian patted his own chest. I'll definitely recover completely. Godlike young lad, full of energy. Come, let's open the Southern Cross constellation passage. 293 rounds, Pa. The tip of his leg hit the sword body, and the crane body energy that had been waiting for a long time gushed out, as sharp as a bird's beak. Just a little sleepy. Tang Tian's figure shrunk and returned to number 9's side and used the scattering vortex, causing Big Nine's body to lean backwards. In Tang Tian's ears, there was only his own heavy breathing, and the spacious chamber of the 18 bronze figures was extremely quiet. When Bing rushed over, he saw Tang Tian sleeping soundly, saliva flowing out from the corner of his mouth, forming a crystal-clear line. He did not care about his image, and was like a tired child, sleeping soundly. Beneath his feet, the bronze figures were scattered everywhere. Some of the bronze figures had their joints bent, and some of the bronze figures had their parts scattered everywhere. In the spacious chamber of the 18 bronze figures, Tang Tian's triumphant declaration resounded. Tang Tian seemed to have predicted it, and his right leg shot out like a poisonous snake hiss, bringing along a dazzling light blade. Tantue. Tang Tian remembered, when Bing mentioned the chamber of the 18 bronze figures, it was the most painful training in the recruit training camp, and the chamber of the 18 bronze figures could only enter the top 3. This meant there were at least 2 other training methods, and were definitely not inferior to the chamber of the 18 bronze figures. Number 11's frail body trembled, as if he was struck by lightning, and flew out. Surrounding number 9's huge body, he perfectly controlled number 9's body, and from time to time, a bronze figure would be hit by the great monument palm and fly out. Bang, bang. His eyes suddenly lit up. Yes, it's here, look there. This rock pass, go through. Tang Tian groaned. This palm, he used all his strength. But he did not retreat, and instead advanced. His 2 legs drew out 2 sharp light blades. Ping, ping, pu, entered number 1's joints, and number 1's 2 elbows flew out. An unfriendly voice sounded from behind Tang Tian. This is Flamingo. Tang Tian's spirit was lifted, and he hurriedly went through the rock pass. After a few turns, and walking for about an hour, a starry door appeared in front of the two of them. Tang Tian urged Flamingo to run, and shouted. He quickly fell in love with Flamingo. Flamingo was indeed outstanding. Its steps were much lighter than the bronze mechanical ostrich, almost silent, without the slightest rumbling sound of the bronze mechanical ostrich. What made Tang Tian even crazier was that it was actually red, but so tired. No, it was to occupy the chamber of the 18 bronze figures. A new mount? Tang Tian was stunned. Little ostrich is pretty good. How could a godlike young man be tired? The figures around him became lesser and lesser. Tang Tian jumped to the side of the bronze figures and said proudly, "Ha ha! I've said it before, I will definitely defeat you bunch of bastards. Ha ha! I am indeed a godlike young man. I actually did it." When Tang Tian woke up, he immediately felt hungry and thirsty. His limbs were weak, and his eyes glowed green. He hurriedly found food from the Aquarius Marshall cabinet, and rushed to the side of the pond like a gust of wind, and squatted beside the bronze waterway, and gulped it down. Bing pointed the way, and the two of them advanced carefully. But what the two of them did not expect was, along the way, they actually did not meet a single star spirit beast. Thinking about this, Tang Tian's scalp went numb. Although the injuries received in the chamber of the 18 bronze figures were not fatal, but the pain would not lessen. But on Tang Tian's face, there was not a hint of pain. His face was brimming with a baby's satisfied smile, and his wide, open mouth followed the rhythm of his snoring. Bing smiled. That's right. Then let us start a new challenge. A young man should continuously challenge. Only then can his unlimited potential be stimulated. Bing was slightly uncertain. It must be this way. That path is very hidden. The chamber of the 18 bronze figures was already so terrifying. Other challenges, an unprecedented sense of accomplishment filled every cell in his body, and his bloodshot eyes looked at his own palms in shock, but very quickly, the shock turned into uncontrollable ecstasy. Chapter 130. He looked as though he was asleep, floating on the water, following the flow of the current. Tang Tian's heart moved. He heard these people talking about blood meridians. In his memory, the only thing that could be related to blood meridians was Onyx Soul. Asshole, I want you to understand how horrible it is to anger this godlike young man. This was just the beginning. Tang Tian completely did not expect. Just after passing through the starry door, what awaited him was actually an extremely fast-flowing river. He did not even have time to react, and was washed far away by the river. In a daze, his entire body actually fell into the air. Bing asked back, "Do you think I would know?" The most conspicuous was a middle-aged man with a knife scar on his face. His entire body was surrounded by killing intent. A few drops of blood flowed along his palm, dripping into the mud. "We can't enter the martial spirit chamber." Bing spread his hands, with a face of innocence. "It is very possible that when we passed through the starry door yesterday, it affected the martial spirit chamber. The entrance of the martial spirit chamber is now in complete chaos. As for the reason, I have not figured it out yet. Seems like the connection between the starry door and the army is deeper than what I thought." Gulu sat up straight, stepped on the water surface, and looked around. Stepping on water without sinking, to him now, was extremely simple. "Does anyone have a star map? Can you sell me one?" Tang Tian looked at everyone anxiously. Phylan's star. Tang Tian was very sure. He had never heard of this star's name, and could only bite the bullet and ask, "Which constellation does it belong to? Who could it be?" Tang Tian asked as he flew. Tang Tian's heart was secretly in awe. He tried his best to walk lightly, and held his breath, but did not expect to be detected. Bing suddenly drilled into Tang Tian's body, and said softly, "Be careful." This meant they were trapped on this planet. Only he was left. It doesn't belong to any constellation. The middle-aged man casually said, "It belongs to Onyx Soul." Not being able to enter the martial spirit chamber meant the passage to Three Spirits City was closed. "Night Forest," a guard casually said. The two of them exclaimed at the same time, and looked at each other, seeing the joy in each other's eyes. If there were people around, it meant that they would know where they were. Suddenly, The middle-aged man seemed to have sensed something. He turned his head and shouted, "Who is it? Come out." A strong sense of loneliness welled up in his heart. Everything related to him had already been annihilated and scattered in the wind. Even those memories would gradually fade in color, turning into black and white, gradually settling in his heart. If looks could kill, Bing's body would have been riddled with holes, and he would have died 100 times. Bing's gaze landed on Tang Tian, who had his eyes closed, and suddenly thought, if this fellow was not meditating, he would definitely be making a ruckus now. The corner of his mouth involuntarily curled into an arc. Fortunately, this fellow was quite a bastard, so he wouldn't be too cold. The two of them stood on the surface of the river, ready to fight. Waterfall. Tang Tian and Bing rushed towards the source of the sound at the same time. Tang Tian's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. He gritted his teeth and said, "A certain elder of the army, a responsible young man, should not have such an attitude. Women." Bing's hearing was even sharper. There are sounds of fighting. "Young lad, be careful not to get beaten up. Uncle, you better take care of yourself. You're so old that your teeth are about to fall off. Don't be jealous of this godlike young lad." Tang Tian, who was sprinting, heard this and glared angrily. The majestic waterfall rumbled loudly. Even though they were far away, they could still feel its astonishing power. Bing turned his head and looked behind him. Everything happened too fast, so fast that he could not react in time. Did not activate his blood meridians? The nightmare did not seem to be ending. Everyone's face was filled with surprise. The guards all started to laugh softly. Even the middle-aged man was surprised. "I never thought that I would actually meet someone who has not activated his blood meridians here." Bing's expression revealed a rarely seen awkwardness. Even he himself was slightly embarrassed by this blunder. But he quickly found an excuse for himself. "You know, the starry door can change. But this kind of starry door that only changes half, it is also my first time seeing it." Falling from the top of the 300 tall waterfall into the river below, even with Tang Tian's strong body, he was still on the verge of vomiting blood. All the bones in his body were about to fall apart, and his mind was blank. No one bothered about Tang Tian, but the young lady in the middle of the guards looked at Tang Tian curiously. "You think I will feel guilty?" Bing replied with a face of mockery. The haze in his heart dissipated by a lot. He raised his eyebrows. "You should be glad that it is not a waste planet. If not, you could just wait to eat the dust. And let me tell you a piece of bad news. This is the familiarity of the army's elder level members with the army's encampment." Tang Tian's face was gloomy. He stared at Bing with an unkind expression. The starry door outside of Three Spirit City was exactly the same as before. Its position and size did not change at all. This made him ecstatic. He thought that he could return to his old place. Who knew that the other side of the starry door had changed beyond recognition? His entire body was drenched. He was in a sorry state. He laid on the surface of the water like a wooden plank. One of the skinny and weak-looking guards had a flash of red light in his eyes. 5th level. He did not activate his blood meridians. In a clearing in the dense forest, there was an intense battle. The ground was littered with corpses. It was a complete mess. Everyone stopped what they were doing. Their gazes all gathered on Tang Tian. The guards beside the young lady immediately acted as though they were facing a great enemy. They protected the young lady in the middle. "There's someone here. All right. Seems like relying on myself is more reliable." Tang Tian closed his eyes. He revolved his true power. Unknowingly, he entered a meditative state. In front of him was a dense forest. The dense treetops formed a green sea of trees. Tang Tian spread his arms. Like a big bird, he stepped on the sea of trees and flew. "Unless there's someone here?" Tang Tian waved his hand. "I don't know either. When I stepped through the starry door, I was rushed into the river. Suddenly, I fell down the waterfall. I have no idea where I am." But in his heart, he had mixed feelings. His companions had withered. The Overlord had been annihilated. The world had changed. Even the starry door had been turned upside down. Abali nodded in response. He began to clean up the battlefield. "Abali, clean up." He ordered one of the guards. Which planet is that?" Tang Tian could only ask more directly. Although it was not Bing's fault, but his attitude. All of a sudden, everyone burst into laughter. Lee sneered. Brat, don't tell me you still want to leave Phylon Star? Stop dreaming. Since when can an idiot who has not activated his blood meridians leave Phylon Star? Suddenly, a faint cry of surprise entered their ears from afar. Tang Tian opened his eyes. His black pupils flashed with a light aura that could captivate people's souls. His body had completely recovered. This time, the time spent in meditation was much longer than usual. As he had guessed, it was related to Onyx Soul. But Tang Tian was not the least bit pleased. He did not know what constellation Phylon belonged to, so he could not confirm his position. Seeing that it was a young man, the guards relaxed. Only the middle-aged man did not relax. Without turning his head, he shouted, Shan Chun. 5 to 6 people were protecting a young lady. She was dressed luxuriously. She had a noble temperament. One look, and you could tell that she was not an ordinary person. The guards beside her were all experienced, and their expressions were calm and fierce. It was as though he was sitting on a roller coaster. Before he could even regain his senses, he was once again swept out by the river. It was another waterfall, another 30 free fall. The pitiful Tang Tian almost fainted the moment he touched the water surface. After flying for about 10 minutes, Tang Tian found his target. Bing snorted. He did not look remorseful. You also know about the elders. This is the attitude of the elders. Young man, you're the young man. Be humble and patient. Respect the old and love the young. Young man, you still have a long way to go. Tang Tian fell for a total of 6 times. Not only that, he was hit by the rocks along the way. His whole body was injured. Even his internal organs were injured because of the strong vibrations. Tang Tian was speechless. He looked at the sky. What planet is this? The two of them scolded each other with all their might. Their speed was not affected at all. Tang Tian was like a runaway wild horse. Bing calmly followed behind Tang Tian. Seeing that everyone had let down their guard, Tang Tian put on a harmless expression. I'm sorry to disturb you. I'm lost here. I want to ask, what is this place? Don't tell me there's a star door in Dark Forest. The middle-aged man muttered to himself. There were no flaws in Tang Tian's words. He raised his head and glanced at Tang Tian. This is Phylon Star. He did not even have the strength to stand up. He flew across the surface of the water. After reaching the shore, he flew up to the treetops. Tang Tian raised both of his arms. He walked out of the forest and shouted, Don't fight. I have no ill intentions. You are an idiot who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. You can't even pass the recruit training camp. I've seen many of you. I'll let you find your teeth on the floor with just one hand. Bing was a little surprised. To be able to enter meditation so quickly under such circumstances, Tang Tian's improvement surprised him. He observed the surroundings and the bottom of the water. He did not discover any threats. Bing felt innocent. Bing sneered. He did not show any weakness. He retorted, Young man, don't think that you are so great just because you passed the chamber of the 18 bronze figures. In front of the chief military officer, there is no fun in that place. Jealous? Hee, I can't help it. A newbie who didn't even pass the recruit training camp. I can't be at ease. Bing spoke quickly. Tang Tian was confused. What did leaving a planet have to do with blood meridians? The next day, Tang Tian flew into a rage. He squatted down and was about to pounce on Bing. You old bastard. This feeling was terrible, the middle-aged man said. Which starry door did you come from? What the hell is this place? As Bing expected, Tang Tian recovered. He immediately shouted, Wow, this waterfall is so big. How can we rush up? Hey, uncle, say something. This was caused by you. Don't you have any guilt? Chapter 131. Tang Tian grinned and tried to make his smile look friendly. Hello, I'm Tang Tian. Muley had been secretly observing Tang Tian. Muley noticed the miss's emotions and said, It's dangerous to venture out. You can lose your life at any time. Maybe you're right. Tang Tian suddenly kept his smile and said seriously, But there are some sceneries, some things that you will think of ways to see and do. If you don't, you will regret it for the rest of your life. The pale masked man turned his face, looked at Tang Tian's direction, shook his arms, and disappeared into the forest like an owl. Tang Tian swallowed his saliva with difficulty and looked at the field. It was Tang Tian's first time watching someone else's battle, and he felt a chill in his heart. Finally, before the night fell, a white ravine appeared in front of everyone. He was like an agile cheetah, suddenly leaping towards Gu Shui. "Uncle Muley, you don't have to worry about me." The young lady was obedient and said, "I'm in the top 3 in school." Chi, the swordsman in front of him, had unleashed the power of his stab to the fullest. Even Mu Lei revealed a smile. The White Ravine was very close to Black Mountain City, and there were many martial artists around. The opponent would definitely not dare to set up an ambush here. All the hairs on Tang Tian's body stood up. "Let's go." Mu Lei displayed his swift and decisive style. A jet-black aura pierced through the snow. Such a terrifying swordsman. The black-robed swordsman's figure flashed and easily retreated from the battlefield. "Lad, we're going to Black Mountain City. If you're willing to follow us, then follow us." The middle-aged man looked at Tang Tian and said solemnly, "But I have to remind you, our journey is not very safe. You have to take care of yourself. If you're in danger, no one will save you." The middle-aged man turned his face and said to the young lady apologetically, "Miss, you'll have to work hard." A soft gasp of surprise floated in the air like a wisp of smoke. Bai Ding was looked down upon everywhere. Tang Tian was stunned and shook his head. "I don't regret it. Although it was hard, I learned a lot and did what I wanted to do. I was very happy." Suddenly, Tang Tian felt a sense of danger. Mu Lei was displeased. He glanced at Tang Tian and said, "Boy, how many places have you been to?" How many things had he experienced? The outside world is more complicated than you can imagine. For example, just now, if it were another group of people, you would already be dead. So strong. A black-clothed swordsman, wearing a deathly white mask, his entire body wrapped in black clothes, held an incomparably slender rapier in his hand. Every time he stabbed out, Mu Lei would be flustered. "Yeah, there's still one more year before you graduate. I really envy you. You're so young, but you can already go out and explore the world." Gu Shui's eyes lit up. Tang Tian was dumbstruck as he listened. So powerful. The group shuttled through the dense forest. Clang. "Very good." The middle-aged man didn't talk nonsense and said loudly, "Pack up and get ready to move. We have to get to the white water ditch before it gets dark. Hurry up." Mu Lei's roar and the guard's roar didn't make Tang Tian feel safe at all. That misty whisper seemed to explode in Tang Tian's ears. The tip of the rapier was cold like a snake's tongue. It smashed her head ornament and flew dangerously past her scalp. She didn't have time to react. She felt dizzy and rolled on the ground. Tang Tian and Gu Shui chatted the most. It could be seen that Gu Shui was very interested in his adventures. But Mu Lei's warning just now made Tang Tian tactfully try not to talk about such matters. Tang Tian didn't refute. He just made a face at Gu Shui. Almost at the same time, Tang Tian sensed danger. He slammed his right palm on the ground and used this force to dodge to the side. He was quite satisfied with Miss's performance. They were already used to the tiredness of the journey. However, he didn't expect that the delicate Miss didn't complain at all and didn't cause them any trouble. Everyone saw it in their eyes, and in their hearts, they were all very respectful to the young Miss. The black-clothed swordsman's figure was erratic and unpredictable. Every movement looked soft and powerless. Even when he brandished his sword and stabbed, there was no sound at all. It was as light as a feather, but it was these feathery thrusts that made Mu Lei and the others flustered. Tang Tian also asked a lot about Phylan Star. Then Tang Tian finally understood why others laughed when he said he wanted to leave Phylan Star. However, the one who had the upper hand was the black-clothed swordsman. Tang Tian took the opportunity to run forward with Gu Shui in his arms. He only stopped after running for a few feet. His intuition was extremely sharp. The black-clothed swordsman's glance, before he left, was directed at him. Tang Tian felt a chill in his heart. Hearing this, the others were suddenly embarrassed. He couldn't figure out Tang Tian's background, But someone who could enter Phylon Star without knowing about the Stargate couldn't be that simple. For the current Gu family, an unexpected variable was a good thing. Gu Shui was startled when she heard this. Her thoughts drifted away uncontrollably. She murmured, "That's great." The black-clothed swordsman was like a black fog in the night, impossible to guard against and unpredictable. Without thinking, Tang Tian kicked the ground with his right leg and leaped forward with Gu Shui in his arms. His left leg, that was infused with the heavenly dragon energy, struck the snow sand. Bang! Countless snow sand exploded behind him, like a snow screen. It was only then that Tang Tian regained his senses. Fear welled up in his heart. His limbs were weak, his heart was thumping hard, and his face was pale. He had just brushed shoulders with the god of death, and he almost lost his life. Although Mu Lei had reminded them before, the others were still disdainful of Tang Tian. Being at the 5th level at such a young age sounded good, but in Black Mountain City, any youngster with a bit of fame could do it. And these youngsters usually had 2 or 3 blood meridians activated. The group of people were extremely fast as they shuttled through the forest. These guards were experienced. They knew where to camp and how to avoid the star spirit beasts. This was an eye-opener for Tang Tian. On the contrary, the young miss was curious about Tang Tian. She had never seen an outsider before. "Hello, I'm Gu Shui." Tang Tian and Gu Shui could feel the change in the atmosphere. The two of them stopped talking and focused. Tang Tian was even more vigilant. He could feel the danger. Mu Lei, who had been observing Tang Tian in the dark, was surprised. Tang Tian's sharpness was something he could see. She screamed in fright. "I can take care of myself." Tang Tian raised his hand. Tang Tian shook his head. "Roaming the world is tough." Tang Tian laughed. "Do you regret it?" Gu Shui asked. Tang Tian was speechless. It was his first time seeing such a style of swordsman. It was also his first time seeing such a rapier. This type of rapier did not have a sharpened edge. It only had one function, and that was to stab. What made Tang Tian even more surprised was that Gu Shui and Mu Lei's attitude towards the honorable martial alliance was extremely indifferent. Of course, this was just Tang Tian's feeling. After all, he did not dare to flaunt his identity as an honorable martial alliance member. Tang Tian muttered to himself. Having just experienced 293 battles, Tang Tian's reaction was almost instinctive. He hoped that this would disrupt the opponent's vision. Suddenly, the black-robed swordsman swung his sword a few times. The rapier drew a few black lines in the air. Dang, dang, dang. Mu Lei and the rest felt their hands heating up. An astonishing power was transmitted through, and they could not help but retreat a few steps. Tang Tian's pounce was extremely fast. He carried Gu Shui, and like a rolling gourd, he rushed into the snow-white sand of the white gutter. Mu Lei roared again and again. His palms were glowing with silver light. His whole body was surrounded by light, and he looked like a god of war who had descended to the world. His moves were bold and powerful and extraordinary. The strength of the other guards was also quite extraordinary. They were close to the strength of Liang Xiu and the rest. Gu Shui pursed her lips. "It's safest to lie at home and sleep every day. Don't chase." Mu Lei suddenly shouted. There was a trace of horror on his face. The other guards at this time plopped down on the ground. Everyone's face was filled with the expression of having survived a disaster. Mu Lei's eyes showed a gratified expression. He just nodded and did not say anything. Gu Shui covered her mouth and chuckled. These quotas had become the most intense competition in the entire Phylon Star. Gu Shui could see that Tang Tian was interested in the white gutter. She explained, "The snow-white stuff in the white gutter is a type of snow sand. It's useless, but wild beasts and star spirit beasts do not like it. So there are people who sell it here to the city. Everyone scatters it around the perimeter of the walls to prevent mosquitoes and ants." Tang Tian curiously went to the front of the gutter. It was his first time seeing such a peculiar gutter. The soil inside the gutter was actually as white as snow. Casually touching it, it felt like snow salt. We're finally at the white gutter. Gu Shui heaved a sigh of relief. With the white gutter, it's not far from the Black Mountain City. Star spirit beasts will not go near the white gutter. He had always thought that to enter and exit the star, as long as you had enough money, you could go and leave whenever you wanted. To Tang Tian, this was not good news. The sky gradually darkened. Everyone's face became serious. They increased their speed. Enough, Abai Li. Are you done with your work? The middle-aged man turned his head and scolded. He's not from Onyx Soul. It's normal that he has not activated his blood meridians. 5th level of power. At his age, it's already not bad. Out of all of you, which one of you could be as old as him and have 5th level of power? Mulei's heart moved. He snorted. Naive. A deafening collision sound came from behind Tang Tian. At the same time, Mulei roared. No. Tang Tian shook his head. You've left school for more than half a year. Are you still in school? This small gutter was very special. It was about 3 m wide. The soil outside the gutter was black, but the soil inside the gutter was snow white. It was extremely eye-catching. Gu Shui felt her vision darken. A figure covered her vision. Before she could react, she was pushed down by Tang Tian. Tang Tian, are you still in school? Gu Shui had a pair of beautiful brown eyes and snow-white skin. Her nose bridge was high. Her facial features were deep, and her figure was tall. Phylan's star was not considered strong among the many planets under the jurisdiction of Onyx Soul. There were strict rules. Leaving Phylan's star had many strict restrictions. But the biggest restriction was the number of people who could leave. Although the guards maintained their vigilance, they could not help but relax. After the battle and the long journey, they were extremely tired. An extremely fine sound pierced through the air. An almost undetectable force swept past Tang Tian's face. It quietly left a finger-sized hole on the ground. Chapter 132. Gu Shui was overjoyed. She carefully picked up Yaya and couldn't bear to let it go. Its little face was still a little sleepy, and it rubbed its eyes with its chubby little hands. Its chubby little face was constantly being rubbed by its little hands. Its eyes couldn't be seen anymore. Although Abai Li's mouth was a bit cheap sometimes, it wasn't a bad person. Gu Shui was also amused by Abai Li's funny face. Tang Tian looked at the direction where Zia disappeared. The fear in his heart disappeared and was replaced by a strong fighting spirit. The feeling of fighting with such an expert was really different. As if seeing through Tang Tian's thoughts, Mu Lei said in a deep voice, "Until now, he has no record of completing a mission. He only did it twice. This is the 3rd time. Don't worry, he won't come again. If he fails a mission, he will never come again." 5 million star coins. Tang Tian was shocked by this astronomical number. Even when he was at his richest, he never had so much money. It was not enough to accomplish anything. You must be scared. Abai Li saw that Tang Tian heaved a sigh of relief. He thought that Tang Tian had just regained his senses and comforted him. You are already very good to be able to escape from Zia. He is Zia, the most outstanding dark assassin on Phylan Star. You don't know, when I saw him, my mind went blank. Do you know what my first reaction was when I regained my senses? Oh my God, we are actually still alive. God bless us. I hope we don't meet him again. Suddenly, Abai Li's cheers interrupted Tang Tian. Tang Tian unwillingly stuffed Yaya into Gu Shui's hands. Be careful. It's a bit fierce. Gu Shui's eyes were shining. Yaya's expression made people laugh, especially when it was half crouching, the little flag on its butt was exposed and waving. No matter who it was, the way they looked at Tang Tian quietly changed. If it wasn't for Tang Tian's help, the young miss wouldn't have been able to escape. This action also proved that Tang Tian was a friend and not an enemy. However, he couldn't tell if Tang Tian was lucky or had fast reflexes. From the beginning to the end, Tang Tian's performance in other aspects, such as martial arts, was not too outstanding. The warriors of the Honorable Martial Alliance were too weak. In Mulei's eyes, they were simply half disabled, although they were very good at using secret treasures. As long as they were hit once, the bodies of the Honorable Martial Alliance martial artists, which were as weak as dolls, would be torn apart. Tang Tian gasped in pain. A few strands of his hair were grabbed by Yaya. It hurts. This bastard. Furthermore, he was carrying the young miss, the lowest level of spirit general. Muley glanced at Tang Tian and said indifferently, "In essence, it's an unformed spirit general. It's very agile." With one hand grabbing Tang Tian's hair and the other hand holding onto the small bough, it was half crouching, ready to fight, and stared at Gu Shui. "Miss, please work harder." Muley warmly encouraged Gu Shui. "Wow, so cute." Gu Shui was instantly attracted by Yaya's cuteness. Muley suddenly smiled bitterly. Was it really the end of the road? Why did he put his hope on an unrelated outsider? Furthermore, he was just a nobody. Those who didn't activate their blood meridians would have a hard time surviving on Phylon Star. Even those who were from the Honorable Martial Alliance would have a hard time surviving on Phylon Star. This was the world of blood meridians, regardless of winning or losing. In fact, Tang Tian wanted to say that it was too shameless, but after thinking about Zia's elusive swordsmanship, he swallowed his words. Yaya shivered and hugged Gu Shui's fingers even tighter. The theory of the supremacy of blood meridians was quite popular in Phylon. Muley didn't really agree with it, but he also didn't think that a guy who didn't activate his blood meridians would be useful. As he said that, he took the opportunity to squeeze a few more times. "Tang Tian, you have to defeat Zia." This proverb wasn't made up by Muley. He felt that his thinking was too ridiculous. Without activating his blood meridians, Tang Tian's strength was only at the 5th level, which was indeed very bad. Usually, a teenager at this age would definitely have activated his blood meridians, even if the level was not high, even if there were not many types. The pressure that the black-clothed swordsman gave him was too much. That lingering sense of death almost made him feel like he was dancing with the Grim Reaper. Muley was quite disdainful. Tang Tian was also slightly stunned, but his attention was immediately attracted by something else. "Look, that's the Black Mountain City. Is it called Yaya?" Gu Shui didn't care whether Yaya was strong or not. In her eyes, Yaya was too cute. She stretched out her hands and asked with a face full of expectation, "Can I hug you?" Gu Shui suppressed the fear in her heart, forced a smile, and said with a trembling voice, "I'm fine with it." Tang Tian let out a long sigh, and the young lad's pupils gradually calmed down. As expected, this outsider wasn't worth looking forward to. The killing intent that was like a dagger on his back, like maggots in his bones, left a deep impression on him. Tang Tian couldn't help but think, if it were to meet Zia again, what methods would he use to deal with this terrifying black-clothed swordsman? Tang Tian suppressed the cold in his heart, turned and asked Muley, "Who is he?" Tang Tian grinned. He did not reveal his true thoughts. He did not mind being mocked, but he would not reveal his wild ambitions and arrogance in front of anyone. Ever since it swallowed the star spirit snake's spirit nucleus, Yaya had fallen into a deep sleep, and at this moment, Yaya suddenly woke up. It drilled out from the Aquarius Marshall cabinet, and with a pa sound, it jumped onto Tang Tian's shoulder. A very poor commoner. Hearing that, the others quietly packed up. Tang Tian still had a lingering fear in his heart and did not notice Muley's gaze. Muley looked at Tang Tian's gaze, filled with amazement. Zia's sneak attack was without any warning. If he was in Tang Tian's position, he would definitely not be able to detect it. But Tang Tian actually dodged Zia's sure kill. In his heart, there was actually a faint desire to fight with the opponent again. Although he knew that his strength was not enough to fight against Zia. But this desire, once it appeared, actually became stronger and stronger. "Is Zia?" Muley's expression was extremely ugly, his tone mixed with a trace of fear. Phylon Star's most famous dark swordsman. It is said that in his body flows the curtain of darkness blood meridians, the top of the silver-ranked blood meridians. His sword techniques are extremely strong, and there are few who are his match. The number of experts who died under his sword is uncountable. He is famous for not recognizing people for money, and the price he charges is very expensive. Every time he makes a move, regardless of winning or losing, it is 5 million star coins. "Yaya." Tang Tian glanced at Yaya sinisterly. "Such a shameless fellow. I will take care of you later. You dare to grab my hair, you are dead meat." The rest of the people's gazes were also extremely weird. Gu Shue's beautiful snow-white face still had a few traces of fear. At this moment she smiled, gorgeous beyond compare. Bai Li was immediately stunned. "I am not fierce at all." Mu Lei looked at Yaya. He already did not have any expectations for Tang Tian. A Bud Spirit General was such a low-level Spirit General. There was basically no value. Tang Tian actually raised such a low-level Spirit General. Although the Bud Spirit General did not have a time limit like the Spirit Generals summoned by Spirit cards, but its fighting power was almost zero. Basically, no one would choose a Bud Spirit General as a battle assistant. The half-asleep Yaya was startled awake by Gu Shue's scream. With a squeak, it bounced up from Tang Tian's shoulder, somersaulting and landing on Tang Tian's head. This, what kind of rhythm was this when it just woke up? Bai Li whistled. "Tang Tian, this is definitely the most unique Spirit General I have ever seen." With an unkind expression, he grabbed Yaya from his head and very stealthily pinched it a few times, taking revenge on Yaya for tearing its hair. The pitiful Yaya was like plasticine, being ruthlessly ravaged. Its expression froze on its face. It was completely unprepared for the sudden disaster. "Is that so?" Tang Tian completely did not hear Bai Li's joke. He did not care. Although Yaya is not very powerful, but it is very smart. "Bud Spirit General? Is it very powerful?" Gu Shue's eyes lit up. She was completely defenseless against such a cute little thing. She had never seen such a cute Spirit General before. Glancing at little Mrs. Pale fingers that were grabbing onto Tang Tian's arm, Mu Lei retracted his gaze and said to Tang Tian, "I will have to trouble Brother Tang to take care of little miss. Thank you very much." Mu Lei's fist suddenly clenched tightly. It was better to rely on himself than anyone else. "Zia, I will definitely not let you hurt little miss." Yaya, who had escaped from the devil's clutches, was like a koala hugging onto Gu Shue's fingers, rubbing and cupping them. "Tang Tian, you have to do your best." The pitiful Yaya, once again suffering from the evil hands, rolled his eyes. "Weren't you praising me?" Bai Li stuck out his tongue. Yaya was not bribed by Gu Shue's goodwill. Its small eyes were like two protruding mung beans, and it bared its teeth at Gu Shue. Bud Spirit General." Mu Lei was knowledgeable. Seeing Yaya, he immediately recognized it. "Tang Tian, you have to become stronger." A powerful Spirit General was an outstanding helper. Of course, this was related to financial strength. The richer the Spirit General, the better. This was common sense. On the other hand, the weaker the Spirit General, the poorer the opponent. This conjecture was in line with the majority of situations. Hearing this, Tang Tian heaved a sigh of relief. His tranquil eyes slowly became firm. However, seeing that Tang Tian had just saved little Miss's life, he tried to make his words sound more tactful. Mu Lei could only use these words to comfort himself, but when he looked at Tang Tian, his gaze became peaceful. He looked at little Miss, whose face was pale with fear, and his heart ached. Gu Shue grabbed onto Tang Tian tightly. Her face was pale. Her beautiful brown eyes were filled with fear and dread. "Shut up, Bai Li." Mu Lei's angry roar exploded behind the two of them. He was obviously extremely dissatisfied with Bai Li's demoralizing words. "All right, he was a foreigner. Let's go." Mu Lei immediately changed his mind. "We will enter the city tonight." Tang Tian straightforwardly nodded his head. "No problem." This kind of fellow was too scary. Tang Tian and the rest were already halfway up the mountain. Below their feet was a winding mountain road, looking down the mountain. At the foot of the mountain far away, there was a brightly lit city, like a gigantic beast, quietly squatting in the night. Chapter 133. Everyone lowered their heads and did not say a word. Even the usually lively Bai Li was biting his lips tightly. His fists were clenched so tightly that his knuckles turned white. The other guards were all indignant, their eyes red. Only Shan Shun was left. When he said that, Mu Lei looked at Tang Tian. Mu Lei was experienced. Upon seeing the expressions of the soldiers, his heart sank. He knew that something must have happened. Gu Shui, who was playing with Yaya, frowned. "Uncle Mu, Tang Tian was a righteous and kind young man. She suddenly bent down, bowed, and said seriously, "Thank you everyone for sending me here." He kowtowed to Mu Lei and Gu Shui 3 times, then picked up a few of them and walked out, 1 foot deep and 1 foot shallow. "What? You want to be a hero and save the damsel in distress?" Being floated out, his tone was filled with ridicule. Gu Shui did not raise her head. She was minding her own business and playing with Yaya, extremely calm. Mu Lei's eyes turned red, his fists clenched tightly. Mu Lei laughed out loud. He took out a wine pouch and gulped it down. The strong alcohol spilled out from the corner of his mouth, wetting his clothes, but he did not care, and in one breath, he poured the entire pouch into his mouth. The soldiers guarding the city were familiar with Mu Lei and the rest, but when they saw Mu Lei and the rest, their expressions were weird. They could imagine the attack that awaited them the next day would definitely be like the pressure of MT Tai. The opponent actually dared to do such a thing. That meant that they had absolute confidence. The soldiers did not stop them, and the group entered the city smoothly, but Tang Tian noticed that there were shadows moving in the shadows. Tang Tian frowned slightly. He whispered to Gu Shui, "I smelled danger." Tang Tian felt that it was powerful. "Enter the city," Mu Lei immediately said. Her heart was filled with gratitude towards Tang Tian. What did her fate have to do with Tang Tian? Tang Tian had already saved her once. He had no obligation to be responsible for her fate. There was absolutely no chance of victory. Instead, the probability of death was more than 90%. What was the point of such a battle? Gu Shui's expression calmed down. She looked up at the sky and stretched out her hand to catch a snowflake. She murmured softly, "I remember when I was young. Every time it snowed, my father would build a snowman with me here. It's snowing again today. Father in heaven must be afraid that I'll be lonely. I'm not leaving. Uncle Mu." Gu Shui turned around and looked at Mu Lei. Gu Shui looked at the courtyard that was almost in ruins, and a trace of heartache flashed in her eyes. This was her home, and it was filled with memories of her childhood. Mu Lei's gaze seemed to be able to kill. He suddenly remembered that when they entered the city, the soldiers had a weird expression on their faces. Shan Chen clenched his teeth tightly. He did not dare to speak. He was afraid that if he loosened his grip, his tears would flow out. The blue and white dress spread out like the sky and clouds. Bing could not help but scold. Was this guy crazy? Bang, bang, bang. Unknowingly, snowflakes started to fall from the sky. "I'm going home. What trouble can there be?" Gu Shui playfully winked at Tang Tian. Tang Tian turned into a corner and stopped. He turned and disappeared into the street. "She's a very good person." Tang Tian did not answer the question. He raised his head and looked at the night sky. He muttered to himself, "If such a person were to die like this, it would be such a pity." She was extremely intelligent. She could understand Mu Lei's desperation in such a suffocating situation. But her feelings towards Tang Tian were different. Tang Tian had saved her life. "Boss," Abaili sobbed. Before he could speak, a black shadow flashed. His expression froze. Plop, he fell to the ground. Mu Lei moved like the wind. His hands were extremely accurate. Immediately, everyone fell to the ground and fainted. Suddenly, a series of footsteps came from outside. Tang Tian tilted his head and looked at Gu Shui, who had a serious face. His brown eyes flashed with sincerity. Gu Shui retracted her gaze. She sat on the ground. Even at that moment, she did not look like she was in a mess. It was as if she was not sitting in the mud. Instead, she was sitting on a warm and soft leather chair. "Let's pack up." Gu Shui calmed down and said softly, "Let's make some space for everyone to rest." Tang Tian looked at Gu Shui for a moment. Suddenly, he scratched his head and laughed. "That's true. What danger can there be at home? Then I'll leave first." He clenched his teeth tightly. Tears blurred his vision. Hot teardrops slid down his cheeks. Black Mountain City was much bigger than Starwind City. It was extremely majestic. The towering watchtowers were densely packed together like a fence. According to Mu Lei, there would often be star spirit beasts roaming around. The watchtowers were built to guard against star spirit beasts, and the soldiers guarding the watchtowers were at least at the 5th level of power. Muley met the young Miss gaze. His face turned red. He was a little flustered. I'm not leaving either. Shan, Chin shook his head. How many soldiers were needed to guard the densely packed watchtowers? Every single one of them was at least at the 5th level of power. That was enough to prove that the standard of Black Mountain City was higher than Rainbow City. When they attacked the Yu clan, Tang Tian had charged through the watchtowers. If those arrows were shot by a 5th level martial artist, Tang Tian felt that he would not be able to charge through. So I've said so much for nothing. Bing was unhappy. Please leave. Gu Shui bowed again. Please don't let me live in guilt for the rest of my life just because of tonight. Hearing that, Muley exploded. His hair and beard stood on end. All of you, scram. Whoever dares to stop in front of me again, I'll kill him myself. Gu Shui smiled peacefully. The night breeze blew her blue and white dress. The golden dress was torn and tattered, but she was still elegant and gentle. Muley was a strong martial artist who looked down on ordinary soldiers. But Tang Tian did not have such thoughts. Every day, he would be scolded by Bing that he was not even comparable to a recruit. In Tang Tian's eyes, the recruits who left the recruit barracks were all powerful martial artists. They had thought that the situation would be bad, but they did not expect it to be this bad. The opponent had already destroyed the entire place. It showed how unscrupulous they were. Seeing Shan Qin disappear into the night, Muley put down the last worry in his heart. He took out a wine bag and passed it to Gu Shui. Miss, drink a few mouthfuls to warm up your body. Gu Shui's smile remained the same. She said softly, let's go. Muley retracted his gaze. He was a practical person. He felt that it was not polite. Because he did not want to agitate Tang Tian, he did not say that all of the soldiers had activated more than one blood meridian. They were truly powerful. Bing was stunned when he heard that. Although Bing often heard arrogant words coming out of Tang Tian's mouth, but none of those words had a greater impact on him than what he had just heard. Damn it, sound powerful. Tang Tian's face was full of surprise. He did not seem to be faking it. He was familiar with Tang Tian. He could tell that he was serious. You're in trouble, aren't you? Tang Tian suddenly said. Bailey casually found a piece of wood from the ruins. He lit a fire. Everyone surrounded the fire. The atmosphere was oppressive. Tang Tian rolled his eyes. But I don't want her to die. Everyone has done their duty. Please leave. Gu Shui had a peaceful smile on her face. I did not expect things to become so bad. Any struggle now is meaningless. I have the blood of the Gu family in me. They will not kill me. You all have your own families. Please do not make unnecessary sacrifices. Who do you think you are? Bing curled his lips. Are you a savior? Or a great hero? Please, don't just complete the chamber of the bronze figures. You don't know what you're capable of. Tang Tian unhurriedly threw down this sentence and was already following the shadows of the street, heading towards the direction where Gu Shui and the rest had disappeared. Muley's face was full of scars. He was as cold as a rock. He regained his calmness. You all leave. Since things have come to this, there is nothing we can do. Don't waste your lives. Neither. Tang Tian shook his head. He looked calm. But don't you think it's a pity? Gu Shui took the wineskin, pulled out the cork, and took a small sip. Her snow-white face immediately blushed. The wine was too strong and too spicy. Gu Shui could not help but frown. Zia was strong. Even from Bing's point of view, he was very strong. Tang Tian could not contend against him. But when he heard Tang Tian say that he wanted to spar with Zia again, he did not hide his intention to fight. It made him fall into a trance. Oppressive. A deathly oppressive feeling. Protect the young mistress, Muley said in a low voice. The other guards looked solemn, as if they were facing a great enemy. Abali bit his lips. He said angrily, I'm not leaving. Also, if I help them, I might meet Zia. I want to spar with him seriously. If it was anyone else, their first reaction in such a critical situation would be to dodge. Tang Tian's first reaction was to save her. In such a dangerous situation, there was no time to think. Everything was instinctive. Gu Shui stopped what she was doing. She raised her head, turned her face, and smiled at Tang Tian. There are some dangers that cannot be avoided. She gently placed Iya, who had a satisfied look on her face, back onto Tang Tian's shoulders, and said with a serious expression, "You better leave quickly, find an inn, and settle down. If you want to leave Filan Star, it will be more difficult. But if you ask around, there will be a way. I wish you success. Thank you for saving my life." "What has it got to do with me? I'm just an instructor." Bing waved his hand. In the night, a figure walked along the shadow of the wall. He was extremely stubborn. Muley nodded. The rest of them started to clean up the ruins. "Bring them away." Muley stared at Shan Shun. "Shan Shun, you are the calmest. I'll leave them to you. If they die, what will happen to their families? I've lived enough. What about you guys? Even if you don't think for yourself, you have to think for your families. Leave tonight. Remember, don't stop." The snow was getting heavier. "I'm not leaving either." Tang Tian waved at her and said loudly, "I'm leaving." Chapter 134. Tang Tian struck a weird pose, a horse stance, both arms extended, 10 fingers opened, as though he was hugging a big ball. The faint blue light penetrated deep into the great monument palm. A rank 5 martial technique was not a threat to Dewey at all. Dewey did not let his guard down. He could not tell what kind of blood meridians this young lad had activated. Great monument palm. Tang Tian's eyes flashed with a ray of light that was as sharp as a blade. Gu Shui shook her head. "Thank you, Cousin Wu, for your kindness, but I'll stay here tonight. I don't want to go anywhere else." Blood splattered everywhere. The wound was dyed with the faint blue light. It looked extremely terrifying. Gu Wu could not help but reveal a suspicious look. He looked around, but did not find anyone else. The suspicion in his heart grew. With Muley's strength, it was impossible for him to protect Gu Shui's life under Zia's sword. Unless someone was helping, without hesitation, he turned around and charged. With a big stride, he twisted his waist and threw a punch. The green flame gathered at his fist at an astonishing speed. Wisps of flame revolved around his fist at an extremely fast speed. This fog was like a formless spider web tightly covering him. Dewey snorted, "You're courting death." Dewey, who was rushing into the concussion punch, suddenly stopped. The vibrations that were everywhere struck his body and immediately caused his muscles to stiffen. The palm print was as firm as a monument. Scram! An unfamiliar voice suddenly exploded beside Gu Wu's ear. The fist aura was like 2 bubbles easily burst. His body was actually forcefully fixed in the air. Poof! When Gu Wu heard the 2 words Zia, his pupils constricted. With a quiver, the greed in his eyes disappeared. "Zia? Curtain of the Night, swordsman Zia. You guys met him?" "Ha ha ha!" Seeing that Gu Shui was getting closer, Gu Wu's heart was burning with passion. He laughed maniacally. "Cousin Shui, from today onwards, you're mine." Overestimating yourself, Gu Wu laughed coldly. He lowered his head and threw punch after punch. In the blink of an eye, he had sent out 12 fire tornadoes. 12 fire tornadoes revolved around Mu Lei's body, forming a cyan ring of fire. Wherever the fire tornadoes passed, the fog was instantly burned away. It had been 200 years since a young man with a snow rainbow bloodline had appeared in the Gu family. The Gu family's desire for the snow rainbow blood meridians was something that outsiders could not understand. Every time a child was born, they would think of ways to check if they had the snow rainbow bloodline. However, there was one type that could not be detected, and that was the recessive bloodline. Mu Lei used slow speed to fight fast. His power was like 1,000 caddies, while Dewey was unpredictable, fast like lightning. Heaven-spinning fire fist. His left hand clenched into a fist. Countless shattered ripples were grasped in his palm like a spider web. Tang Tian's original creation, the vibration circle. "Brat, you dare!" Mu Lei glared angrily, his fist suddenly blasting towards Gu Wu in the air. No matter what, he had to capture Gu Shui and bring him back tonight. When the rice is cooked, no one would be able to do anything about it. Facing Dewey, Tang Tian brazenly rushed forward. Mist shadow blood meridians, silver blood meridians, could transform into mist and was extremely difficult to deal with. But Muley had no fear in his heart. His sky green blood meridians was also a silver blood meridians. Indigo Thorn was a rank 6 martial technique. The difference of one rank meant that the power of the two were not on the same level. A tall and sturdy man, surrounded by a crowd, rushed in. He was Gu Wu. He had an aquiline nose, long and narrow eyes, thin and sharp lips. His brown eyes were exactly the same as Gu Shue's. He stared at Gu Shui greedily and passionately. Bang! Young master! Dewey was shocked. Without hesitation, he abandoned Mu Lei and pounced towards Tang Tian. He extended his arm, his 5 fingers hooked. Gu Wu's face flushed red, but in the blink of an eye, he returned to normal. His body did not change and continued to pounce towards Gu Shui on the ground. Mu Lei opened his eyes. His slightly drunk eyes flashed with a sharp intent. Supporting his arm, without saying a word, Mu Lei took out another wine pouch and gulped it down. Gu Shui sat upright, both hands gently holding the wine pouch, as though he did not hear the hurried footsteps. Dewey lightly shook the dagger in his hand. The green flame on the dagger dissipated. His expression congealed. Dewey's body suddenly sped up. The surrounding mist suddenly became denser. The dense gray mist from all directions squeezed towards Mu Lei. Mu Lei's eyes widened. A blue dagger, like a blue swimming fish, quietly appeared at the side of Mu Lei's waist. A green shadow and a gray shadow intertwined. From time to time, a deafening collision sound could be heard. Wherever Dewey flashed, he brought the mist with him. The mist in the field became denser and denser. Mu Lei also started to feel the strain. Suddenly, a layer of silver light appeared on his palms. The silver light flickered. Without dodging, he welcomed the 2 green fists and lightly patted. Gu Wu, I met Zia on the road. Did you send him? Gu Shui suddenly asked. Mu Lei's hair stood up in anger. The green flame fluttered. You? Mu Lei looked at him in disdain. 2 words came out from his nose. You think you're worthy? Ha! My dear cousin Shui, you're finally back. I've been waiting anxiously. If anything happens on the road, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. Miss doesn't want to leave. Who dares to make a move? Mu Lei's body froze. The blue color spread at an alarming speed. Is it here? Snow rainbow blood meridians. Asshole. Countless thoughts flashed through his mind. His face remained expressionless. Sister Shui, you've wronged me. Why would I make a move on Sister Shui? I'm waiting for Sister Shui to give birth to a son for me. Bang! Gu Wu's face darkened. Since you don't know what's good for you, then don't blame me for being ruthless. Dewey, there's no need to leave him alive. Tang Tian's eyes lit up. If he used the mist to fight with him, he would find it troublesome. But to fight head-on, Tang Tian was not afraid of him. Dewey's heart shivered, but he was not afraid. He bellowed. The dagger in his hand moved as fast as lightning towards Tang Tian. A fist suddenly appeared in front of Dewey. Dewey's eyes shrunk. He tipped his toes and stopped his body. Mu Lei straightened his body and stood there majestically. His drunken eyes were emitting a piercingly cold light at this moment. Bang! Assholes like you deserve to die. Tang Tian's eyes flashed with disgust. He was filled with killing intent. When he rushed over and saw the scene, he was filled with hatred. The guards around Gu Wu cried out in alarm. Snow rainbow blood meridians. It was the strongest blood meridians in the history of the Gu family. Once it was activated, it would form a beautiful rainbow around the body. In the Gu family, no one did not know about the snow rainbow blood meridians. Because the Gu family's strongest martial technique, Rainbow Blade, required the activation of the snow rainbow blood meridians. Mu Lei's eyes suddenly widened in anger. He roared, "You're looking for death." He did not even have time to scream. Pooh! A fist fiercely hit his abdomen. His body suddenly bent like a prawn. His eyes popped out and his expression froze. Using blood meridians as a killing technique was a common sight in battles. The fiery whirlwind that was moving at lightning speed immediately slowed down. All of you assholes, go and die. A strong killing intent filled his heart. It was the first time he wanted to kill all these people in front of him. 2 rays of green fist aura whistled through the air. Green flames rose from his body. Mu Lei, who was in the flames, looked like a god of war. His right hand clenched into a fist. The green flames gathered at the tip of his fist at an astonishing speed. Then, he suddenly elbowed backwards. The great monument palm print exploded without any warning. Dewey only felt the dagger in his hand bouncing off. In a flash, he dissipated the force. Bang! If he did not have the blood meridians, the great monument palm print would definitely not be able to stop his indigo heartthorn. The flame splashed. A figure flew. Guwu laughed. Dewey, please invite Miss back to the residence. He felt a shocking force suddenly exploding in front of his palm. It was as if he was hit by a heavy hammer. Rays of dazzling cold blue light interweaved. In Tang Tion's vision, it suddenly lit up. Unknowingly, he had two daggers in his hands. With one look, one could tell that the dagger had been dipped in poison. His figure flashed and disappeared into thin air. His legs were rooted to the ground. His waist sank down. He took a deep breath. His chest and abdomen collapsed. All the force in his body surged. He raised his right palm and pushed it out. One by one, the burly men with cold expressions rushed towards Gu Shui. In a panic, he only had time to cover his face with his palm. A wild laugh broke the silence. Chi! Gu Wu's speed was originally fast. Just now, when he received the two punches from Mu Lei, it looked like nothing had happened. But in fact, it was not as easy as it looked. The hidden blood meridians would only appear after the age of 16. The hidden blood meridians could not be activated. But if the next generation was born, there was a high chance that they would have the snow rainbow blood meridians. Gu Wu laughed. In such a snowy day, how can I let Sister Shui freeze here? Sister Shui, it's better if you go back with me. He thought it was some powerful killing technique. It was just the heavenly dragon energy, and its level was not high. The speed of the punch was extremely fast. It was so fast that he had no time to react. Gu Wu's face changed. He did not expect Gu Shui to tell him the secret. The Gu clan did not only have him. He was sure that the news would spread to all the other branches of the Gu clan tonight. Two rays of blue light crossed each other in the air. Damn. The blue light and the great monument palm print collided without any fancy moves. Gu Wu's eyelids twitched. Before he could react, a fist appeared in his field of vision. Dewey's figure moved like a ghost. He brought along a misty shadow, drifting erratically. Mu Lei took a deep breath. The fist technique in his hands changed. He suddenly punched out. A green fire tornado flew out of his hands. Heavenly Green Mu Lei, you really live up to your name. I heard that people with heavenly green blood meridians are loyal and brave. Mu Lei, if you are willing to follow me, I will definitely treat you as my right-hand man. Gu Wu said in a low voice. He looked at Mu Lei with a burning gaze. This was vibration. I think so too, Gu Shui said calmly. Others might not know about the snow rainbow blood meridians in my body, but how would Cousin Wu not know? It's a pity it's a hidden blood meridians. If not, who would dare to be so presumptuous in my house? Cousin Wu, don't you think so? Ha! Cousin Shui. Seems like you want me to invite you personally. Gu Wu laughed. He stretched out his body. Like a big bird, he pounced towards Gu Shui. It was not the first time that he had seen Gu Shui, but the blushing Gu Shui in front of him still made his breath involuntarily heavy. She was so beautiful. Mu Lei's pupils constricted. Misty Shadow. Dewey immediately judged that this brat's power was at the 5th level. Unless he had an extremely powerful blood meridians, if not, he would definitely win today. Flipping his palm, he held onto the dagger. His body bent slightly, like a beast pouncing on its prey. Dewey did not say a word. Wisps of mist emerged from his body, congealing and not dispersing. Dewey's body disappeared in a flash. Chapter 135. Dewey felt like he was going crazy. The number of whirlpools increased rapidly. Every time his fingers moved, the high-speed spinning layer of true power was like a thin stone flung out, brushing past the air, fast and slippery. It was obviously in the bag. It was obviously a win. It was obviously a cooked duck. Mixed in were all kinds of weird techniques that he himself could not remember, all kinds endless, impossible to defend against. No one could withstand it. Let's wait here. Such a pervert. They have to enjoy it. Tan Tue could also kick consecutively? Dewey's eyes suddenly lit up. It was a vast expanse of whiteness, like countless white birds, forming a flock and rushing towards him. His opened arms, with an extremely small tremble, his 10 fingers continuously changing. He gritted his teeth, his eyes flashing. Finally, it was time for him to counterattack. What is this? Regardless of whether it was confidence or fighting spirit, after continuously suppressing his opponents, Tang Tian had already reached the peak. Even if Zia were to come forward, he would definitely rush forward. Dewey, who wanted to cry but had no tears, was practically rolling and crawling, battered and exhausted. Chi, one after another, the small white whirlpools, with a whistling sound like a flock of noisy birds, nimbly entered the layers and layers of blue aura. Who exactly is this guy? To make matters worse, he was also in the cage. Although he had dodged a bullet, Dewey was not the least bit happy. Just now, when he recklessly rushed forward, all the whirlpools crashed into his chest. Without looking, he knew his chest was definitely full of bruises. But the worst thing was that his left rib that was hit by the great monument palm was most likely completely deformed. At this time, he had already run a few streets, and Dewey stopped. A bone-piercing, dangerous aura rushed towards Tang Tian's nerves, but Tang Tian's gaze did not have the slightest change. The intense, dangerous aura stimulated Tang Tian's entire body, causing all the hair on his body to stand. His attention was unprecedentedly focused, and his intuition spread out like water. Tang Tian was like a tiger in a flock of sheep. There was no one who could stop him, whistling continuously. Everywhere he passed, people fell down. He could only feel the true power in his body surging, continuous and unending, his fighting intent burning, extremely reckless. The other branches must have received the news by now. The secret of Gu Shui's bloodline can no longer be hidden. They must be rushing over with all their might. Tang Tian's complacent voice suddenly came from behind. Dewey was scared out of his wits. He could not care about anything else, and suddenly pounced forward and rolled. What's more, these were the only ones charging at him. His heart sank very, very quietly. He was very excited. Dewey, who was shocked, only felt that the dagger in his hand had hit the high-speed spinning turntable, and the force was slanted. Tang Tian unintentionally comprehended the killing technique of the scattering vortex, and his eyes flashed a look of ecstasy. Scattering vortex. Before Dewey could finish cursing, a mouthful of fresh blood rushed to his throat, and he spat it out. The flying bird vortex dispersed the crowd. The incomparably ferocious great tablet seal, the Tan Tue blade that revealed its edge. Swish, swish, swish. Oomph. How can we be the only unlucky one? Quick, 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 hide. Don't let him see you, Gu Wu said in a panic. Exploding heavenly dragon energy, sharp crane body energy, borrowing force to fight staining fall. Tang Tian's most valuable experience in the chamber of the 18 bronze figures was that no matter how chaotic or complicated the situation was, no matter how intense the danger was, he could still maintain his calm and focus. Dewey only felt an extremely strong force, fiercely crashing into his ribs. Tang Tian's imposing manner did not have the slightest bit of resistance. Instead, it rose even higher. Tang Tian was already fighting crazily. Tang Tian, who was in the arena, looked left and right, his face showing that he had not had enough. Gu Wu cursed a few more times. Finally, he was tired. He said dejectedly, "How can this be?" Even the valiant Muley was so shocked that he forgot about his injuries. He muttered to himself, "There is actually such a valiant person in the world." Dewey no longer had the slightest bit of contempt in his heart. Such an unimaginable martial technique made him immediately fall into a passive position. Gu Wu stared blankly at Tang Tian, but the next scene made his face change. Scattering Vortex was the martial technique that Tang Tian used the most during his 293rd attempt at the chamber of the 18 bronze figures. It was fast and could affect the opponent's actions, creating opportunities for himself. Facing the dangerous blue aura, Tang Tian did not know why, But the image of Ghost Claw's claw suddenly surfaced in his mind. The scene of Ghost Claw's fingertips rubbing against the air made Tang Tian think of skipping on water. The thin pieces of stone that were thrown out were spinning, brushing against the surface of the water, and would bounce back. On the surface of every finger, there was an additional layer of high-speed, spinning true power. Guwu had just recovered from the shock. His face was a mix of green and white. He gritted his teeth and lowered his voice with a hint of schadenfreude. But now, seeing Dou Wei dodging in a sorry state, Tang Tian felt his blood boiling. The Flappy Bird vortex, just now, made him extremely motivated, as if he was injected with chicken blood. Moves that he had never dared to use before, all sorts of weird variations of moves, all came crashing down like raindrops. A sharp blade aura brushed past his body. Tang Tian's Tan Tue drew a beautiful arc Dou Wei who was originally prepared to counterattack. Saw this, and his face changed again. In a short period of time, the desire to counterattack in his chest, from a raging fire, shrunk to a torch, then shrunk to a candle flame, sinister. In the chamber of the 18 bronze figures, the number of bronze figures far exceeded him. He needed to continuously borrow the scattering vortex to drag the opponent's formation. Killing technique. Dou Wei's heart was beating wildly. If that brat saw them, he would definitely chase after them. He immediately carried his young master and hid in the shadows. The whistling whirlpools made Dou Wei miserable. They looked extremely chaotic, but it was as if they were trapped in a cage. No matter how hard they tried, they could not fly out. Tan Tue crossed and drew an arc aura. It was continuous like maggots in the bones, biting tightly on his back. If he was not afraid, he would be cut into pieces by these intersecting leg blades. This was the result of attacking the chamber of the 18 bronze figures for 293 times. One after another, small whirlpools were quickly rubbed out. Tang Tian's attention was unprecedentedly focused. Ever since he broke through the chamber of the 18 bronze figures, he seemed to have entered a whole new realm. There were not many changes in his true power and martial techniques, but in terms of his mental state, he had a huge breakthrough. Tang Tian suddenly roared, shook both his arms, soared into the sky. Like a big bird, he landed in the middle of the group of guards. Tan Tue was like a blade. Dou Wei already knew, but he had never seen such a sharp Tan Tue. In the middle of the scattering vortex, a huge whirlpool suddenly flew out. He only felt a chill on his back, whereas his shirt cut. Was it the blade aura? Dou Wei's mind was also echoing this sentence. How could this be? Dou Wei deeply felt the same, nodding his head. Just as Dou Wei was surprised and suspicious, a figure suddenly flashed in front of him. An extremely excited face appeared in his vision. The saliva splashed, almost sprayed onto his face. The more Tang Tian fought, the more excited he got. Since when he was so contented, in the chamber of the 18 bronze figures, he was always suppressed. Until the last breakthrough, he definitely did not have the upper hand. Great monument palm print. Not logical, still not logical. Guwu suddenly slapped his head, extremely annoyed. I should have thought of it earlier. Zia. That's right. The reason why Gu Shui could escape from Zia's hands was because of this guy. It must be him. The calm Gu Shui, with her snow-white face and mouth wide open, looked at the invincible Tang Tian, the unstoppable guy in front of her, and the stingy young lad who sneakily took revenge on Yaya. Were they really the same person to be defeated by someone who could survive from Zia's hands? It did not seem that unacceptable. I will fight. That's right. Why were they the unlucky ones? But the opponent had used it, and he himself felt uncomfortable and did not know how to block it. Dou Wei had experienced hundreds of big and small battles, but he had never been in such a difficult battle, so uncomfortable. Hearing this, Dou Wei was stunned. The anger in his heart immediately disappeared without a trace. Why are you running? Guwu struggled with all his might and scolded. I don't believe that he alone can defeat everyone. Tang Tian scolded, but his right palm quietly entered the whirlpool of flying birds. This was the first time he fought with someone after passing the chamber of the 18 bronze figures. The feeling this time was completely different from before. It was obvious that the opponent's strength exceeded his by quite a bit, but he did not feel pressured at all. This guy, is he crazy? Especially after the counterattack, the strong sense of danger was scattered by his counterattack, and he immediately gained the upper hand. Layers and layers of blue aura, like a tight defensive line, were barged in by a group of unreasonable star spirit beasts and suddenly collapsed. "You bunch of idiots, what are you standing there for? All of you attack." Gu Wu, who was just knocked unconscious by Tang Tian, was now awakened by his subordinates. Upon seeing the situation of the battle, he was immediately shocked and angry. What made him even more afraid to stop was the roar behind him. "Stop!" Gu Wu suddenly shouted. "Damn it!" Dou Wei scratched his head in confusion, but still followed his instructions and jumped to the highest rooftop nearby. From there, he could see the battlefield from afar, and those fierce guards were now lying on the ground. The flock of birds and the blue aura crashed into each other. "Jump to the rooftop, a higher place," Gu Wu said. The sharp blue aura immediately fell to the left and right. The white whirlpools were like a chaotic flock of birds. Every whirlpool was spinning at an extremely high speed, and when the blue aura touched them, it would immediately bounce off. And when the whirlpools and whirlpools collided, it would bounce off at even more astonishing speed. When he saw Tang Tian roar, and with one punch, sent 3 guards flying, his candle-like desire to retaliate was immediately extinguished. He appeared beside Gu Wu in a panic, picked up Gu Wu, and broke into a run. His back felt cold. Tang Tian's Tantue blade, just now, had cut a big hole at the back of his pants, but Dou Wei could not care less about his shame. Flying bird's whirlpool. Tang Tian's heart moved, and his Sanzhou quietly underwent a change. This extremely weird fellow, who exactly was he? Gu Wu's scolding made the other guards awake. All of them braced themselves and rushed forward like a swarm of bees. Dou Wei finally heaved a sigh of relief. In that instant, he almost had the urge to cry. "Aha! Thank you for the praise." Although there were many people in front of him, but compared to the 18 trash in the chamber of the bronze figures, no matter if it was strength or wretchedness, they could not be mentioned in the same breath. Tang Tian was very excited. Dou Wei buried his head and sprinted, not daring to reply, but his speed became even faster. "Scoundrel! Scoundrel! Scoundrel!" Chapter 136. But you knocked into it yourself. If he did not make a face, he would not be able to express the joy in his heart. Under the dazzling Tantue blade aura, countless blood splattered, and screams filled the entire field. No, Tantue killing technique. When demons and gods at work used this technique, Tang Tian was so excited that he wanted to jump up and roar. All the martial artists in a 10-meter radius around him were all injured, and the ground was littered with injured people wailing. He had tried all sorts of methods and tried all sorts of plots. A square tablet seal appeared in his field of vision without warning. His speed was extremely fast, and the distance between them was too close, so close that he could not react at all. He could only watch as it grew bigger and bigger in his eyes. Tang Tian was slightly surprised, but he grinned. "Idiot! Good hit, good hit." Gu Wu, who was watching from afar, was beaming with joy. Suddenly, he paused and asked uncertainly, "Tante doesn't seem to have this technique." This premonition was so strong that it was a mess. Unknowingly, Dou Wei's premonition became even stronger. Tang Tian, who had just cleaned up, proudly made a face at Qilon. After exchanging blows with Dou Wei, Tang Tian suddenly realized that the opponent was not as strong as he had imagined, nor as dangerous. And he himself was not as weak as he had imagined. Tang Tian snorted coldly, and with a flash, he disappeared. Luckily, he managed to escape. Tang Tian did not say a word in front of him. Among the rank 6 light body techniques, it was definitely the best. The strongest point of the intercept flowing fire was in the word intercept. In terms of intercepting the enemy, it was rare to find a match. He looked at Tang Tian mockingly. "Just based on you, How can you get rid of me? Tang Tian really wanted to continue. After suppressing his fighting spirit for so long, it had completely swallowed him. In the chamber of the 18 bronze figures, he had been continuously abused for so many days. Give up. With a flash of fire, he pounced towards Tang Tian. Seeking death, Qilan gritted his teeth and spat out 2 words. Pu-pu-pu. Qilan's entire face was embedded in the palm print of the great monument. Her body was still in the posture of rushing forward, motionless like a statue. Before he finished speaking, Tang Tian's figure disappeared from where he stood. Take your time and enjoy it. Everyone was thrown into a complete mess. Those ordinary cultivators were chopped up like melons and vegetables by Tang Tian. Bing was not far away. Looking at Tang Tian, who was looking around, he could see that Tang Tian was not satisfied. After entering Phylan's Star and encountering a powerhouse like the Knight Swordsman Zia, Tang Tian was still in an extremely suppressed situation. The mysterious young man had unimaginable battle techniques. Tang Tian, who had been suppressed, suddenly erupted. Before he could finish his words, he vanished once more. He retracted his true power, and the great monument palm print dissipated in the air. Qilan's entire face turned purple, and with a plop, she fell to the ground, unconscious. Suddenly, a loud shout tore through the air. Do it! So when he saw a group of ferocious-looking martial artists suddenly rushing over from the corner of the street, not only was he not worried, his eyes lit up as though he was a starving beast. Coincidentally, a group of prey appeared in front of him. Qilan, Gu Wuqi was filled with uncontrollable excitement. Tan Tue Blade, Tang Tian, who had struggled to escape from the chamber of the 18 bronze figures, was extremely sensitive to opportunities, far beyond anyone's imagination. Even if it was a tenth of a second, he would not miss it, not to mention that these people were obviously stunned. Spinning Top Blade, his 2 legs were like 2 steel blades that were flung away. Tang Tian's figure spun faster and faster, his body getting shorter and shorter. Countless blade auras like a fountain gushed out. An entire circumference of 3 feet was completely enveloped by the blade auras. Intercepting relied on intuition to compete with a godlike young man's intuition. How stupid are you? Tang Tian bit the bullet and persevered bit by bit, continuously struggling in this kind of suppression. It looked like an extremely futile struggle. It was not easy for him to escape, but this kind of suppressed mentality was still present in Tang Tian's body. He racked his brains, but still could not understand. Why was this? He closed his eyes in fright. Go! Tang Tian's fighting spirit was incomparably high. His aura had reached its peak. He had an unprecedented thirst for battle. Today, Tang Tian went all out. He was completely holding back his energy. He did not want to admit defeat. He did not want to be trampled over by those 18 trash. He bit the bullet and persevered. He racked his brains, desperately thinking of all the methods he could think of. You guys go and snatch Gu Shui. Leave this person to me. Gu Wu was dumbstruck. He originally thought that a fierce battle would not happen. Qilan actually lost in such an unbelievable way. Too unbelievable. All of his experiences were formed from repeated failures and being trampled over. Finally, he narrowly passed through the chamber of the 18 bronze figures. The moment he passed through the chamber of the 18 bronze figures, he thought it was an illusion. Bang! In the next moment, Tang Tian appeared in the middle of the group of martial artists. Tang Tian's strength was out of everyone's expectations when Tang Tian appeared in the middle of their group. In that instant, they actually did not have any reaction. You? Who exactly are you? The martial artists who were slightly further away froze on the spot. Their bodies were cold. Their faces were pale. The young man in front of them was a complete demon in their eyes. Tang Tian's gaze swept across the martial artists who were still standing. The group of martial artists were like frightened chicks. They screamed and turned to leave. But it was another killing move. There was almost no hope of victory. Tonight was destined to be a sleepless night in the Black Mountain City. Dream on. But Qilan suddenly realized something was wrong. Until today. Idiot. Such a scene was so shocking. Wait a minute. The Tang Tian in front of him was slowly fading away. Thinking about the flying bird vortex just now, Dewey's face turned ugly. He did not care about rank 5 martial techniques, nor did he care about rank 5 killing techniques. But this mysterious young man's killing technique was so powerful that it was beyond his imagination. Dewey suddenly became excited. Yes, this is it. What is happening? Tang Tian's body spun on the spot. Guwu immediately believed it because this name was too vivid. Wanna run? Qilin was surprised. The flame flashed and disappeared. Until now, he was suddenly enlightened. He had entered a whole new realm. He started to understand. He actually unknowingly became stronger. Guwu and Dewey, who were watching from afar, suddenly became alert. Now this brat had another killing move. A streak of raging flames whistled through the air like a meteor streaking across the night sky. A man with flame-like red hair appeared in front of Tang Tian. His face was like a knife. His whole body was covered in red flames. His ice-blue eyes stared coldly at Tang Tian. A dazzling, sharp aura suddenly rose up from the ground. Seeing Qilin's face turn from green to black, an unparalleled sense of satisfaction immediately filled Tang Tian's body. Tang Tian suddenly realized it was actually more satisfying than defeating all those small fries previously. A series of screams came from behind him. Qilin was shocked but did not dare to turn back, staring intently at Tang Tian in front of him. The person in front of him was strong. If he was careless, he would fall into a passive position. Tang Tian mumbled. His face looked like it had nothing to do with him. Tang Tian did not even look at Qilin. Although this brat looked good, but he did not forget his original intention of protecting Gu Shui. Qilin said coldly. The flame flashed, and once again appeared in front of Tang Tian. Quickly snatched Gu Shui. Looking at the magnificent scene of the blade suddenly erupting like a fountain, it simply made every drop of blood freeze. It was as if suddenly all the restraints disappeared. He could attack as he wished. Every attack of his was completely flawless. He was bursting with confidence. He dared to try more, and those unimaginable changes in techniques greatly increased his fighting power. His confidence was even stronger. An inconceivable victory, an inconceivable foresight, an inconceivable killing move. Shua, Qilin, who was covered in flames, blocked Tang Tian's path and said proudly, "In front of me, Qilin, no one has ever escaped." Looking at the martial artists rushing towards him, Tang Tian suddenly grinned, like a wild beast that had not eaten its fill, showing his sharp fangs that still had traces of blood. The moment they collided, Tang Tian's face revealed an expression that he could not bear to look at. To collide with the great monument palm print at such a fast speed, how painful would that be? Tang Tian knew his great monument palm print, as compared to ordinary rocks, was much harder. Dewey had a premonition. This brat would definitely bring more surprises to everyone. Definitely not just this. He had personally experienced it, and it was especially profound. Qilin was too careless. But even if he was not careless, he was definitely not the mysterious young man's opponent. Dewey did not make a sound. Qilin's face immediately turned green. He was originally a rather conceited person. He had just boasted and was tricked. It was no different than being slapped on the ear in front of everyone. Poo-pu-pu. Not good, he was tricked. He had enough confidence to say such words. His light body technique was called flowing flame interception. Qilin swore in his heart. He must definitely tear this despicable brat into pieces. Tang Tian rapidly enlarged in his eyes. Suddenly, a strong sense of danger abruptly surged from the bottom of his heart. This was the so-called fight crazily. The more confidence he had, the more ingenious his martial techniques were, the easier it was to win, and winning would further increase his confidence. The more he fought, the better it was. Of course he recognized Qilin. He was one of the generals that Gu Yongbua had recruited. His strength was not below his. Especially in such a direct battle, he was more aggressive than him. Ever since Tang Tian first came into contact with the chamber of the 18 bronze figures, he was always in a position of being suppressed. This was completely and utterly suppressed. The Tang Tian in front of him had already become as faint as a fog. Qi Lan suddenly turned back. At this moment, Da Wei was trembling in fear. He was incomparably glad that they had escaped. Hearing the young master's question, he was also a little uncertain. It should be a killing technique. Only a killing technique would have such power. I remember Tan Tui's killing technique. It seems to be called spinning top blade. This was the first time they saw their own comrade, falling like wheat being cut. Chapter 137. There are enemies outside. It's not safe here. There could be danger at any time. How much strength does that require? Gu Shui was worried. Those people? He could tell that when Tang Tian threw those people, he only used pure arm strength. Those martial artists with heavy bodies were like nothing in his hands. With just a casual throw, they were all 7 to 8 feet away. Black Mountain City was shocked. With that, he found an empty space beside the fire, picked up a piece of wood to use as a pillow, and laid down to sleep. Tang Tian was puzzled. Why are you all looking at me like that? Gu and Xiong, who was sitting at the head of the table, had a bad look on his face. He had only been the Gu family patriarch for 3 days, and such a thing actually happened. Gu Wu had failed to snatch her away, and the secret of Gu Shui's blood meridians could not be hidden anymore. Where did this expert come from? She pointed at the martial artists who were guarding at the corner of the street. They were all staring at them, wanting to move, but not daring to. Looking at the injured people on the ground, Tang Tian was satisfied. Yes, an ordinary-looking young man stood up and turned to leave. Tang Tian was probably the person who slept the most soundly in the entire Black Mountain City. Papa. The other families did not have the slightest intention of joining in. The internal competition of the Gu family had always been intense, and no one dared to join in. At that time, Tang Tian was like a sharp beast. His reason was dignified. Based on his understanding of the clan elders, the old fellows in the family would definitely not place the lifeline of the Gu family in the hands of others. With his own strength, he repelled the waves of attacks from the Gu family. The number of martial artists that died in his hands was uncountable, and the entire Gu family was actually in a stalemate. Gu Shui could not help but think of the moment when Tang Tian suddenly rushed towards her in the white gutter. Right. Tang Tian moved his face closer, his face full of anticipation. Tang Tian was finally tired. Time. He could not give Gu Shui time to gather these people. Gu Shui, who did not have any cards in her hands, had no chance of turning the tables. After making his threat, Tang Tian ignored the guys who were huddled together. Gu Shui and Mu Lei's expressions were stiff and strange, as if they had seen a ghost. They looked at Tang Tian as if they had seen a ghost. The heavenly green flame on his body was constantly eating away at the deep blue that was spreading from the wound on his waist. But the last bit of blue was swallowed by the heavenly green flame. Mu Lei finally heaved a sigh of relief and sat on the ground. His azure blood meridians could purify poison. The first elder also said, "In that case, Ling Su, you go and make a trip." Gu Shui had seen many talented youths at a young age, but Tang Tian was different from them. The morning sun shone through the window, but it could not penetrate the thick smoke. He yawned, and a layer of mist immediately appeared in his eyes. So sleepy. Everyone was guessing. Gu Shui had such a strong support, she might have a chance to turn the tables. Tang Tian grinned from ear to ear, placed his hands on his waist, and raised his head, his nose pointed to the sky, and laughed out loud. All of you are still too inexperienced, but slowly you will all have a new and deep understanding of this godlike young lad. Finished, he grabbed the 2 martial artists on the ground and casually threw them out. Phylan Star was under the control of Onyx Soul, but before activating the blood meridians, his power was already so astonishing, which was rarely seen. Mu Lei was silent for a moment, and suddenly said, "Miss, rest. I'll keep watch." Smoke lingered in the Clan Elders Association. All the elders were smoking, and all of them were silent. Today was all thanks to him. Mu Lei said softly, "I never thought he would be willing to help us." Gu Shui at that time was just a breeding machine. Being praised, Tang Tian was elated. He looked left and right, seeing that the ground was filled with injured people. He had nowhere to stand and said loudly, "I'm sorry, I need to rest. I'll send you guys out first." He knew there was still a fierce battle ahead. He needed to recover quickly. If his own bloodline was able to produce a descendant with the snow rainbow blood meridians, then this bloodline would become the undisputed #1 bloodline of the Gu family. The great clan elder made the final decision. This cannot happen again. Such an extraordinary person. Gu Shue's heart was extremely weird. Not only Mu Lei could see it, all the restless martial artists could also see it. As if a bucket of ice water was poured on their heads, they did not dare to act blindly without thinking. Black Mountain City was the Gu family's Black Mountain City. The Gu family was the biggest family in Black Mountain City. Their power in Black Mountain City was deeply rooted. No one could shake it. Such a person of unknown origin. How can we let him be by Gu Shue's side? Gu and Xiong said with a straight face. Tang Tian was already sleeping like a pig. This fellow, he must have been faking it. All of you, open your eyes wide. Tang Tian used his thumb to point at himself, his face fierce. From today onwards, she will be under my protection. Whoever does not know what's good for him, I will break his legs. Mu Lei laughed. Don't worry, miss. Old Lei will not die. The reason why Gu and Xiong was able to sit on the clan leader position was because he had the support of more than 3 clan elders. But on the matter of Gu Shui, none of the clan elders supported him. Tang Tian posed for a long time, but no one came up. He was finally getting impatient. To a school tyrant with a long history, facing such a situation, he was very familiar with it. Mu Lei was secretly shocked. Such strong arm strength. They're scared out of their wits. There is nothing to fear. Mu Lei's tone was filled with disdain, but thinking about his valiant performance against Tang Tian, it did not seem to be any better. His old face turned red, and he added, "With me guarding, don't worry, Mississippi," he said without hesitation. That's right. The benefits of the various branches cannot be placed above the Gu family's benefits. Looking at Gu Shui, who was sitting in a daze, and Mu Lei, who was acting tough, he waved his hand. "I'm going to sleep first, so sleepy." Gu and Xiong knew that the great clan elder's words were for him to hear. The destruction of Gu Shue's branch was directly related to him. But the other clan elders all agreed. Gu Shui did not know how to describe her feelings at the moment. Mu Lei cleared his mind of distracting thoughts, sat cross-legged, and revolved his true power. The 2 martial artists who fell to the ground immediately fainted. Tang Tian's speed was extremely fast. His hands were like the wind, only to see a sky full of people flying, and very quickly the courtyard was cleared. The higher-ups of the Gu family had just experienced an intense upheaval, and Gu Shue's branch was affected and thus suffered a tragedy. A pure and innocent heart? Anyway, no matter which branch Gu Shui chooses, to our Gu family, there is no loss. The great clan elder said in a deep voice, but there is one thing that is without a doubt. Gu Shue's safety must be guaranteed. This concerns the future of our Gu family. On this point, there is no room for negotiation. A centipede dies but does not fall down. Gu Shue's parents were plotted against, but that did not mean that Gu Shue's branch was completely annihilated. There are still many people in Gu Shue's branch outside of Black Mountain City and did not suffer any losses. After a while, Gu Shue's expression seemed to have thawed, and she laughed. Tang Tian's shocking performance. Even Mu Lei could not help but feel his heart palpitate when he thought about it. Luckily, he did not meet such a terrifying opponent, but he immediately reacted and laughed out loud. You guys must have been shocked by this godlike young man, right? Every school tyrant, we're all familiar with such lines. Mu Lei's battle experience was plentiful. His eyes were sharp, and with one look, he could see that the martial artists no longer had the desire to initiate an attack. They no longer had the courage. I heard, on her way home, she was ambushed by the curtain of the night swordsman, Zia. God bless our Gu family. This kind of thing will definitely not happen a second time. The 3rd clan elder's eyes were filled with killing intent. Seems like we have to sound the alarm bells. Humph. How can our Gu family be bullied by others? The matter of Gu Shui possessing the hidden snow rainbow blood meridians had already spread throughout Black Mountain City. Everyone understood the Gu family could fight for it, but if outsiders dared to have any intentions of getting their hands on it, they would definitely die a horrible death. As expected, all the clan elders nodded their heads in agreement. Although Tang Tian was strong, it was difficult for one fist to fight against four hands, and the rest of the people were afraid and did not move forward. Even Lan was defeated in one move. Everyone looked at Tang Tian. Their gazes became fearful. That's right. Gu Shui's tone was filled with an indescribable feeling. This was the Gu family's matter, a sentence that could be heard on the streets, under the backdrop of the injured people on the ground, under the cries of pain. It was not funny at all. Today's battle was really satisfying. The key was he had finally won a hearty victory. How amazing was that? He could finally be complacent. He could be proud of himself. Tang Tian crossed his arms, his face full of arrogance as he stood proudly at the scene. 10 seconds later, the snoring was like a rising tide, getting louder and louder. As long as Gu Shui married into any of the branches, her branch would completely collapse. Seems like it would be better to bring Gu Shui back to the Gu family. This concerns the fate of our Gu family. We cannot make any mistakes. Gu and Xiong suddenly asked, who knows his background? The 5 clan elders gathered. If there was one regret, it would be that he had not comprehended the killing technique of Great Monument Palm. That's right, I was really shocked. Gu Shui swallowed her saliva, nodded her head, and answered subconsciously. The clan elders looked at each other. No one knew him. Although he had saved her once again, but Gu and Xiong's lips revealed an undetectable smile. Ling Su had already made his move. That mysterious young man was dead meat. That's right. 4th clan elder's face was also gloomy. We need to retaliate. She looked at Tang Tian's face. The sleeping Tang Tian was like a baby. His mouth was wide open, looking extremely silly. There was still sparkling saliva at the corner of his mouth. She was engrossed. The corners of her mouth unconsciously curled up. She was unable to connect the mature and steady young man who had saved her life with this carefree and silly guy in front of her. Gu Shui's face was lifeless. Her expression was stiff. She looked at Tang Tian, who was sleeping on the ground. The Gu family's foundation was deep. Outsiders could not imagine it. No one dared to laugh. Gu Shui and Mu Lei were in a daze. Their little hearts were bursting with joy. Mu Lei groaned, waking Gu Shui up. Gu Shui noticed Mu Lei's pale face and stood up in shock. Uncle Mu, how are you? But Tang Tian, who was feeling great, quickly threw this small flaw to the back of his head and enjoyed his victory. Chapter 138. The basic force exertion was done through the muscles, but the muscles also contained small meridians. If at the same time as the force exertion, these small meridians would also revolve at the same time, what would the result be? But this fist wind, Mu Lei was interrupted by Gu Shui's exclamation. He regained his senses, turned his face, and asked with concern, Mrs. Awake? He was even a little stunned. A few consecutive small leg blades, at an extremely fast frequency, chopped onto the spear body. The two figures separated upon contact. Maybe the two could merge? I haven't eaten breakfast yet, Tang Tian said confidently. So fast. The familiar feeling filled every part of his body. The Tan-Tue blade, just now, compared to his usual Tan-Tue blade, was completely different. Although the usual Tan-Tue blade could also condense into a blade aura, but the aura was dim and was not as strong as the Tan-Tue blade's aura. The aura emitted by the aura was probably due to the crane body energy. The scene in front of him made him feel that it was inconceivable. If he knew that Tang Tian had trained in fundamental martial techniques for 5 years, what kind of expression would he have? He stretched lazily, and with a pa sound, he jumped up. He slept soundly, and Tang Tian felt that his body had an endless amount of energy and was full of energy. Tang Tian's current true power could simulate 3 types of energy: vibration, crane body energy, and heavenly dragon energy. Tang Tian looked around, and suddenly his eyes lit up. In a corner of the courtyard, there was a well. He found an intact bucket from the ruins and started to draw water. But Ling Su's reaction was just as fast. Fundamental martial techniques were only taught in the most elementary schools. In fact, most of the people at the age of 4 or 5, their parents would teach them fundamental martial techniques to build their foundation. He had a new experience. Tang Tian was ecstatic success. But today, when Tang Tian looked back to experience the fundamental techniques of the physical body, he realized that the physical body and true power were not clearly separated, but had some kind of vague connection. He was pleasantly surprised. Gu Shui was awoken by Tang Tian's fist wind and sat up. When she woke up, she noticed that Tang Tian was training in martial techniques and was stunned. Fundamental martial techniques? A red tasseled silver spear, like a dragon, suddenly appeared. The spear retreated, and the person retreated so fast that it left behind an afterimage. In such a short time, he was able to complete the wrong step turn. When the true power and muscle power were activated at the same time, the originally weak fundamental martial techniques had a huge increase in power. This could be seen from the changes in the wind of the fists. Tan Tue blade. It was so low that even Mu Lei, who was watching from afar, could feel the faintly discernible tremors. The shock on Mu Lei's face turned into shock. Suddenly, a cold snort seemed to explode beside Mu Lei's ear. Mu Lei's face changed. Being attacked in his own territory? Gu Shui was sleeping soundly for the past few days. No matter if it was her mind or body, she was extremely tired. Gu Shui, who was sleeping soundly, had tear stains at the corner of her eyes. Tang Tian had not figured out the use of the mist, but it was obvious that the new Tan Tue blade had a huge increase in power. Tang Tian sighed in his heart. Although from the start, Gu Shui had displayed a calmness and experience that far exceeded her age, but her heart must be filled with sorrow. As he trained, Tang Tian became more and more serious. Under the sunlight, his angular face revealed a pondering expression. In comparison, the changes of true power could be more complex, and its power was greater. The power of true power, at a lower level, had an obvious effect, but as the level increased, the power of true power would quickly replace the power of the body. A figure like a puff of smoke floated over slowly. In a blink of an eye, it was in front of everyone. Fundamental martial techniques taught the basic techniques of releasing power, which was something every martial artist would learn. After reaching the second level, true power interfered, causing the pure power of the body to become much weaker. The blade aura and spear aura clashed, and the two of them felt an incomparably strong power and retreated. Muley looked at Tang Tian in shock. Fundamental martial techniques. Tang Tian was training in fundamental martial techniques, and he did not get tired of practicing them again and again. Ling Su's fighting spirit was ignited. Such a strong opponent was not something he could meet often. Just as Tang Tian was in a daze, suddenly a cold snort sounded out beside his ear. Following that, a sharp sound broke through the air, like an alarm, piercing through the sky. Ding, ding, ding. It turned out that the fierce words he said yesterday were for nothing. Ling Su, who was in high spirits, blurted out, "Such a powerful Tan Te?" Again, this was the experience that Tang Tian gained in this period of time. Tang Tian was completely immersed in the fundamental martial techniques. He was familiar with the fundamental martial techniques to the bone, but to suddenly have a new discovery, that kind of unexpected ecstasy, made him forget everything. Too low. Tang Tian's strong intuition played a huge role. Almost at the same time, the taut tip of his foot did not change. Using his knee as a fulcrum, he bent his calf, and in a very short range, continuously swung. The white leg blade, with a faint mist and a sharp whistle, bounced up from the ground. Ding! Ling Su's expression froze on his face. When Ling Su heard this, he was stunned and blurted out, "What?" Suddenly thinking of the morning in Star Wind City, Tang Tian could not help but smile. Tang Tian's crane-style Qi manual, on the circulation of true power in the small meridians, had a unique point. Especially after Tang Tian cultivated the crane body energy, he was extremely familiar with the small meridians. Unbearable. Once this thought appeared, Tang Tian's heart immediately itched. Without saying anything, he got into a stance and started to practice the fundamental martial techniques. Uncle Moo, he's actually practicing fundamental martial techniques? Gu Shui's gaze turned to Tang Tian, full of confusion. Tang Tian squinted his eyes, but he had just broken through. His aura was at its peak. He was not afraid, and used another Tan to blade. Tang Tian immediately noticed the change. Tang Tian suddenly shouted, "Hey, brat, rest for 10 minutes first." The leg blade and spear tip were about to cross again. Ling Su. Tang Tian was at the 5th level. His pure physical strength had gradually lost its power. And as his level got higher, this phenomenon would become more obvious. Ling Su's eyes flashed a ray of light. The sharp tip of the spear strangely jumped, brushed past the leg blade, and went straight for Tang Tian. Mu Lei was slightly surprised and immediately looked back. Spirit cards were indeed very convenient, but it was ultimately the senior's own understanding there were too many personal things in it. For the same martial technique, different people's understanding would be different, and the spirit cards they created would also be different. Without thinking, Tang Tian's left leg suddenly exerted strength. His whole body was thrown out, rushing towards Ling Su, his right leg in midair, exerting strength in his calf. In one breath, he continuously released 7 leg blades. Tang Tian opened his eyes, the morning sun sprinkling on his face, warm and comfortable. I haven't practiced fundamental martial techniques for a long time. There's actually someone who can practice fundamental martial techniques to such a level. This bold idea popped out. Tang Tian's eyes suddenly lit up. The straight tip of his foot swept out a vast expanse of white light, a faint fog floating in the air. The surprise on Gu Shui's face disappeared. She smiled sweetly at Mu Lei. I slept very well. Fundamental martial techniques that were infused with different strengths had completely different styles. Fundamental martial techniques were not Tang Tian's goal, but if he was able to fuse true power and muscle strength in higher-level martial techniques like Great Monument Palm, would it increase the power of the martial techniques? Voila! The bone-chilling cold well water drenched him from head to toe. All the pores on his body contracted. All the sleepiness suddenly disappeared. Facing the incoming leg blades, the cold aura of the spear tip, like raindrops, poured out. Do not blindly believe in spirit cards, even if it is a gold-grade spirit card. With a flick of his wrist, the silver spear was like lightning. The sharp and cold spear tip drew a straight line in the air, straight towards Tang Tian's face. Ding, ding, ding. There was a name in this Tan Te called leg blades. Ling Su did not expect that his tried and tested move would actually be blocked by Tang Tian in such a way. He could not help but be surprised. Tang Tian's face turned gloomy. As a successful and old-school tyrant, Tang Tian deeply understood if he did not immediately defend his right to rule over the territory, very soon those restless people yesterday would lose their fear. Ling Su retreated 5 steps, stabilizing his body, his heart trembling, such a sharp Tan to blade. The arrogance on his face immediately disappeared, and he once again sized up Tang Tian. But Tang Tian did not think so much. This guy who came out of nowhere, one look, and he knew that he was not a good person, and dared to make a move on him. This whimsical idea made Tang Tian try it out. Different from others who had their hands and feet tied, Tang Tian, from the start, was not restricted by those rules. For example, when he trained in the crane body energy, the rank 5 crane-style chi manual gave him a feeling that it was not right. So he tinkered with it himself and successfully raised the crane body energy to rank 5. Mu Lei was alarmed by Tang Tian's movements. He opened his eyes slightly, looked at Tang Tian, and then closed his eyes again. The sharp and concentrated clashing sound shook people's ears to the point of numbness. Tang Tian then saw the person clearly. The tip of his foot rubbed on the ground. The tip of his foot was numb. But seeing Ling Su, he was not much better, desperately swinging his palm. Mu Lei nodded. He has been training for a while. His foundation is very solid. No, it should be said that it is very perfect. This is the first time I have seen such a perfect fundamental martial technique. He should have spent a lot of time on it. Suddenly, the sound of Tang Tian's fist wind started to change. The sound of the fist wind was not right. To be able to defeat people like Big Wei and Qi Lan, he was definitely not an ordinary person. A powerful genius. Woke up in the morning and actually started to train in fundamental martial techniques. 7-blade auras crisscrossed in the air, forming a blade screen. The power of the calf blade was small, but the frequency was high, extremely fast. Like a torrential rain, it continuously slashed on the spear body. The spear body swayed, brushing past Tang Tian's cheek. Tang Tian's heart moved without thinking. He twisted his waist and flicked his legs. He did not know if it was because he had not trained for a long time, but the fundamental martial techniques seemed to be a little rusty. But after all, he had trained for a full 5 years. Very quickly, Tang Tian found back the feeling of the past. Mu Lei's pupils suddenly shrunk. The fist wind was indeed not right. The fist wind of the fundamental martial techniques was the most common fist wind. After all, the fundamental martial techniques were straightforward, emphasizing the basic force and not the changes of the moves. Chapter 139. Ling Su raised the bucket in his hand. Voila, a bucket of water was poured over. I can't accept it. Ling Su was unyielding. You are humiliating a martial artist's dignity. Upon hearing these 2 words, Ling Su almost burst into tears. Ling Su, who did not say a word, raised his eyelids and said, "Please report to Great Clan Elder. Ling Su cannot follow by your side in the future. Please find someone else." Half an hour later, Tang Tian and Ling Su's faces were full of bruises, half lying on the ground. Both of their bellies were as round as watermelons. Gu Shui and Mu Lei were in a daze. They completely could not understand the situation in front of them. Then there's no other way. Ling Su stood up, his expression solemn. I will not go against Great Clan Elder's orders. The bodyguard who came with Ling Su immediately broke out in cold sweat and ran back to report to Great Clan Elder. After a while, he ran back with his face full of sweat. Not only did they not understand, the spectators from afar were all dumbstruck. It was a completely one-sided battle. Tang Tian did not use true power and completely used brute force. But with Tang Tian's brute force, when such a fist landed on his body, it was extremely painful. Stop dreaming, Tang Tian said lazily. This is my territory, and you came to my territory to clamor. How am I going to be the boss in the future? Tang Tian stopped and looked at Ling Su below him and asked fiercely, Do you submit? Ling Su panicked. Hey, you can't do that. You can't do that. Little guy, let me tell you, those who dare to splash me will all be beaten up like dead dogs. He went to the well with a fierce look and picked up his silver spear. Seeing the reflection of the badly battered face, Ling Su's face turned black. Bastard, if you're not hungry, then I'll eat it all, Tang Tian said vaguely as he gnawed on the roasted meat. Just as he was about to open his mouth to explain, Tang Tian had already pounced on him while howling. Ling Su, who was in high spirits, suddenly realized that he was holding a water bucket instead of the silver spear that he was familiar with. His expression immediately changed. Wait a minute, this. Half an hour, just half an hour. Tang Tian yawned even louder. Ling Su felt like he was going crazy. If you don't get up, don't blame me for being rude. Mu Lei's expression changed drastically. With Ling Su's reputation, he believed that no one would dare to refuse such a request. Lord Ling Su, the Great Elder is urging you to hurry up. Not allowing Ling Su a chance to refute, Tang Tian gave him another round of beating for a full 2 minutes. Ling Su hugged his silver spear with a black face. Ling Su completely panicked. Once he thought of himself naked in front of the whole city, he immediately felt a chill and finally gave in. I give in. Don't talk nonsense. Quickly get up and fight to the death. Only the victor has the right. Ling Su wished he could go up and stab a few holes in Tang Tian's body, but his pride as an expert prevented him from doing so. Ling Su said angrily, A gentleman can be killed but not humiliated. Tang Tian was infuriated. He pointed at Ling Su and scolded, I treated you to roasted meat, and you actually poured water on me. Bastard! Roasted meat? Do you give in? There was actually such a person in this world. Ling Su was so angry that his teeth itched, but his pride as a martial artist prevented him from doing anything like sneak attacks. Bastard! Ling Su's body was not very stable due to the flying burr vortex. The dense tan to a blade aura had already occupied his vision. In a moment of desperation, he subconsciously raised the wooden bucket in his hand. I really shouldn't have accepted this mission today. Ling Su turned a deaf ear to Tang Tian's friendly gesture. He sat down beside Gu Shui and hugged his silver spear tightly. Tang Tian did not have any intention of stopping. His attacks were like a violent storm, smashing down on Tang Tian's face. As he attacked, he scolded loudly. Gulp! In a short 10 seconds, Ling Su's face had completely changed. This was the first time he heard someone asking for a timeout before a fight. The reason was that he did not eat breakfast. The whole crowd exploded. That was Ling Su, the silver spear Ling Su. Hey, hey, hey. Ling Su desperately wanted to stop. You treat my good intentions as ill intent. I treated you to roasted meat. You actually drenched me with water. Ling Su was simply bursting with anger. This was too outrageous. Everyone who was watching the fight were already like clay statues. They stared dumbfoundedly at the scene in front of them that completely overturned their understanding of the world. How could there be such an evil person in the world? Heavens, what was going on? The battle intent in his body started to rise. He pointed his silver spear directly at Tang Tian. His tone became sinister. Come on, then let us have a real fight. That fellow who could not retaliate and could only wail in pain. Tang Tian was emboldened. Pei, you ate my roasted meat and drenched me with water. You still have a right to talk about a martial artist's dignity? Ling Su thought about it and immediately felt that he had gone overboard. A wise man does not fight when the odds are against him. This was too humiliating. He really fell asleep quickly, but who are you calling a brat? Ling Su flew into a rage. He pointed his silver spear at Tang Tian. So sleepy, when he saw Ling Su's complacent expression and the bucket of water in his hands, Tang Tian immediately reacted. Gu Shui, who had been very calm all along, looked at Ling Su's face that was filled with grief and anger. She immediately felt the pressure on her. Suddenly, a figure flashed in front of her. Tang Tian also sat down and laughed. You drenched me with water. I beat you up. We are even now. Then 20 minutes it is, or 10 minutes is fine too. Tang Tian's eyes were filled with tears. The strong drowsiness made him almost unable to open his eyes. Ha ha! Tang Tian's expression immediately changed. He immediately jumped down from Ling Su's body. He pulled up Ling Su, whose face was bruised and swollen. He very affectionately helped Ling Su to pat the dust off his body. From today onwards, we are a family. Come, come, come. Let us continue to eat roasted meat. I must beat all the food that this damn bastard ate into his stomach later. You're actually not sleepy after a meal? Tang Tian yawned, his eyes filled with tears. He said vaguely, tired to death. Let me sleep first. Hey, don't think that you can bribe me with a meal of roasted meat. Ling Su half propped himself up, his face revealing an incomparably satisfied expression. He said lazily, however, Great Elder wants me to bring Lady Shui back. Don't stop me. I will pretend that I never met you. When he carried the bucket of water and walked in front of Tang Tian's snoring sounds could already be heard. Tang Tian's bucket of water was still in its original position. Without saying anything, Ling Su flew to the side of the well. He put down his silver spear and picked up the bucket of water, filling it to the brim. Not satisfied? Then I'll strip you naked and make you sleep. Tang Tian also felt a little tired, but he had his ways. After a long time, the Gu family guards who were watching the battle suddenly realized that Ling Su was sitting there motionlessly. He actually had no intention of making another move. Tang Tian began to beat him up again. His fists pierced into his flesh, making a pa-pa sound. It was so painful that Ling Su's expression became distorted. On the contrary, Gu Shui was quite calm. Tang Tian was stunned. So satisfied, Ling Su wished he could lie down at this moment. The sharp blade flashed past the tip of his nose, drawing a line of blood. He was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. The pitiful Ling Su, his entire body's martial arts were all on the silver-red tasseled spear. He, who was unarmed, struggled under Tang Tian's torrential attacks. The bone-chilling well water drenched Tang Tian. In his dreams, Tang Tian suddenly felt that he had fallen into an ice cave. At that time, he screamed and jumped up from the ground. "Are you satisfied?" That guy who was being ridden by someone else, that guy who was beaten into a pig's head. "Despair, you bastard! You're tired of living." Suddenly, he saw the well from the corner of his eye. His eyes immediately lit up. This is life. Tang Tian's emotions floated in the sunlight. Ling Su cursed and rushed over. Before sitting down, he pounced on the roasted meat. "Ha! Indeed, no discord, no concord." Tang Tian turned a deaf ear to him. "Fight my ass." Tang Tian sneered. His hand began to touch Ling Su's belt. Without saying a word, Tang Tian gave him another round of punches. Ling Su's words came to an abrupt end. The rain-like punches lasted for a full 30 seconds before stopping. His stomach made an unknown sound. The surroundings suddenly quieted down. Ling Su's dark face immediately turned red. The wooden barrel instantly shattered. "Nonsense." Tang Tian did not even bat an eyelid. His tone was so lazy that others could not help but wonder if he had fallen asleep. These fellows' hearing must be very good. Damn it. Ling Su felt inexplicably sad. "Boss." Ling Su hastily dodged, but the furious Tang Tian's attacks were simply suffocating. "Uh-huh. Why don't you make a sound? Hey, kid, if you're hungry, come and eat with us." Tang Tian turned his face and waved the roasted meat in his hand in a friendly manner. He extended an invitation to Ling Su. Tang Tian was so sleepy that he could barely open his eyes. Additionally, he did not sense any danger when Ling Su came to stab him. He had never encountered such a scoundrel before. However, Tang Tian refused to budge. The tip of his spear was about to stab Tang Tian's body, but Tang Tian remained indifferent. Tang Tian was instantly elated. "Ha ha ha ha. If you had surrendered earlier, wouldn't everything have been fine? Come, call me boss." A small vortex, like a flock of white birds, flew towards Ling Su. This was not the end. Tang Tian's Tantue drew a crisscrossed blade aura, attacking Ling Su head-on. When Ling Su was hit by Tang Tian's great monument palm, he immediately fell to the ground. Following that, Tang Tian's fists smashed down like a storm. "You only want to beat me up once?" Tang Tian violently beat him up. The anger in his heart was finally appeased. The pitiful Ling Su was already beaten beyond recognition. It was as if he was trampled by a group of elephants. Ling Su's eyes twitched. The surrounding temperature dropped. Gu Shui felt even more pressure. His entire life was ruined by barbecued meat. Ling Su swore that he would never eat barbecued meat again. "Not satisfied? If you have the ability," Ling Su retorted angrily. Even though he was far away, the smell of barbecued meat still entered his nose. Too hateful. He actually ate barbecued meat so early in the morning. Ling Su's heart was filled with hatred. The Elders Guild had been in session for the entire night. He had not eaten anything the entire night. His stomach was now empty. But now he had to watch a bastard eat big mouthfuls of meat in front of him. Ling Su did not expect that his goodwill would be rejected. He sat up straight, and his expression turned serious. "Are you serious?" The furious Tang Tian immediately used the flying bird vortex. "You are dead meat today. You are destined to repent for your actions today for the rest of your life." Ling Su did not utter a word. Chapter 140. Tang Tian was immediately embarrassed. He felt guilty. Instigating defection was definitely not within his expectations. He had caused him to lose his job for no reason. He felt apologetic. Ling Su's figure was tall, but slightly slimmer than Tang Tian. His hair was blue like the sea, extremely rare. He had a pair of orange-red eyes, like a pair of burning flames. "Speak," Ling Su said in a muffled voice. "It's better not to provoke." After a fierce battle, the two of them were beyond recognition, staring at each other without showing any signs of weakness. "I'm your boss. You actually dared to make a move on your boss?" "Insubordination," Tang Tian scolded. Ling Su's entire body froze. The two of them looked at each other. They felt that they were unable to understand the strange thoughts of the two people in front of them. The entire place was dead silent. When Ling Su publicly admitted it, it brought a shock and impact to everyone. It was incomparable. In these 2 years, Ling Su had already used his strong performance to firmly occupy the position of the strongest martial artist in the Gu clan. His but seemed to have taken root, sitting there, not moving at all. Gu Shui suddenly remembered. Ling Su had another nickname, Angry Ling Su. Tang Tian, who was sitting at the side, had an innocent look on his face as he thought to himself, "I didn't do anything. This guy's salary can't be too high." Justice? Then where's your pity? Tang Tian glared angrily. "Asshole, I'll kill you." Ling Su felt as though something was gushing out of his chest. He felt that he was unprecedentedly strong. Even if he had to die for it, he would not even frown. "My teacher once said, the thing that can allow you to step on the peak is not a rare spirit card, nor is it a mountain of star coins, but the belief that you hold on to no matter what the situation is." Ling Su glared angrily. "Shut up." Tang Tian's mutterings came from behind, and Ling Su almost fell to the ground. "Pity, pity." Tang Tian writhed on the ground as if he was having a cramp. His soft moans drilled into Ling Su's ears. Ling Su's neck turned around like a machine. The murderous look on his face made his blue hair stand upright. His orange-red eyes were completely ignited, and his gloomy face was like countless flames flashing in the dense dark clouds. Ling Su pounced on Tang Tian like a ferocious tiger. Tang Tian raised his head and didn't have the slightest intention to get up. He said as if it was a matter of course, "Chie said that I should never fight with a man who just lost his job. I think what she said makes sense." For some reason, after Ling Su said these words, he only felt indescribably relaxed. This muddle-headed life was finally coming to an end. Great Elder came out from the crowd. He stared at Ling Su, and his eyes flashed with anger. Gu Shui hesitated for a moment, but still said softly, "Thank you." This bastard was too shameless, too spineless. The most infuriating thing was, did he think that she had no intelligence? The four of them sat together and didn't say a word. Great Elder's face was green and red, but he didn't say anything. He was very clear about Ling Su's temper. If this guy really rushed up regardless of anything, no one here could stop him. Ka. Ling Su didn't say anything. He glanced at Tang Tian. Seeing Tang Tian's hesitant expression, he said in a bad mood, "Say what you want to say." Ling Su looked at Great Elder and said word by word, "I'm sorry, I found myself again." Great Elder's face changed. He retreated in panic. In a moment of desperation, Great Elder shouted, "Ling Su, don't tell me you want to make a move on me." Killing intent surged in Great Elder's heart. If he didn't immediately counterattack, the foundation that he had painstakingly built for decades would collapse like an avalanche. This was something he was absolutely unable to accept. He didn't say a word. He turned and walked to a place not far from Tang Tian. He hugged his silver spear and sat down. "Why?" Ling Su was startled. He tilted his head and thought for a moment. "You're unhappy. If you're unhappy, you can leave." Ling Su's ferocious reputation was not something that Tang Tian could compare to. No one dared to touch King Ling Yama's old man. Tang Tian silently leaned towards Gu Shui. After a while, he couldn't help but ask, "Don't you think this is a little too rash?" But Ling Su actually betrayed them. Why? Great Elder's voice trembled. Gu Shui and Mu Lei stared dumbfoundedly at the fierce battle that was unfolding in front of them. Ling Su hugged his silver spear and glanced at Tang Tian. He said in a muffled voice, "What does it have to do with you?" Ling Su was stunned, but in the next second, he rushed in front of Tang Tian like a fierce tiger. He roared like thunder. His saliva almost sprayed on Tang Tian's face. "How can you do this?" How can you? You bastard. Do you only know how to use those wretched and despicable methods? If you're a man, then fight fair and square. Ling Su suddenly walked towards Great Elder and the others. Suddenly, an old and dignified voice sounded. Ling Su, you want to leave me? I'm doing this for your own good. It's not easy to find a job these days. Tang Tian persuaded patiently. He had the tone of a boss. You're still young. You haven't experienced enough. You don't know enough about the cruelty of reality. Hey, is your brain fried? Tang Tian moved closer to Ling Su's ear. He said carefully, if you fall out with him, what about your salary? No one will give you a salary. What will you eat in the future? Tang Tian's intuition towards danger was very sensitive. This guy couldn't be provoked now. Tang Tian's mouth formed an O shape. He looked at Ling Su blankly. This guy actually did it for real. For any family, the departure of a master could be fatal and shake the foundation. The Great Elder's status in the family would also plummet because of this. Suddenly, a clear understanding rose in his heart. That's right. He had to be like this. He would never lose his beliefs. Ling Su exploded. He jumped up and pointed the silver spear in his hand at Tang Tian. He roared, "Come on, you bastard. I'll teach you a lesson." Ling Su didn't even bat an eyelid. He hugged his spear. You don't have to thank me. I'm doing this for myself. The great clan elder laughed in anger. Ling Su, are you still a child? To think that such naive words would come out of your mouth. I'm so disappointed. Where did you get the money for your training? Where did your spirit cards come from? Where did the treasures come from? From the sky? Now you're complaining that I'm not doing things righteously? Huh. But if you think that no one can deal with you, you're wrong. Tang Tian's expression froze. Are you praising me or praising me? For justice. A bastard like you should be taught a lesson. Ling Su retorted. Ling Su shook his head. I don't like to bully the weak. I'm tired of living like this. My teacher told me that as a martial artist, I should be righteous and compassionate. I've never been able to satisfy my teacher, but I don't want to continue sinking. So I'll stop here. What I've done for you is worth every star coin you've paid. Gu Shui seemed to understand, but I still have to thank you. This is what I believe. This is what I like. This is the foundation of my spiritual world. Those who cross this line will be killed without mercy. This was the first time she sized up Ling Su. The street regained its peace. Were you enlightened by my beating? Oh, or did I beat you up until you found your conscience? Tang Tian's eyes lit up. It must be. It must be. I'm indeed a godlike young lad. Waha, I'm too powerful. Ling Su hugged his spear. He sat there gloomily. His expression was unkind. He was like a volcano that could erupt at any time. Tang Tian was overjoyed. Then I'll say it. This powerful martial artist had a fiery temper. Rumor had it that he hated evil. If there was a disagreement, he would start a fight. This idiot didn't fall for it? So strange. The stiff Ling Su returned to normal. He hugged his red embellished spear. He sat down again. That's right. For the sake of power, you killed her parents. That's your problem. I can't be bothered. But you racked your brains to kidnap a girl who had just lost her parents. She'll be your breeding machine. She'll give birth to a descendant with the snow, rainbow, blood meridians. Ling Su's orange-red eyes lit up with flames. He pointed his spear at Tang Tian and shouted, Even this asshole knows what to do. What does pity have to do with you? Ling Su was baffled. Ling Su ignored him. He walked for 7 to 8 steps before stopping. The spear in his hand pierced into the limestone floor. He swung his arm. Chi-la. A deep straight line extended from his feet to the other end. Great Elder's promise was powerful and resonant. He had discovered his own mistake, so he resolved it with exceptional decisiveness without the slightest bit of sloppiness. Many people in the crowd secretly applauded the Great Elder's performance. To be able to admit his mistake in front of so many people and act heroically, he was indeed a shrewd and ruthless person. She had heard of Ling Su's name more than once. Ling Su had not followed the Great Elder for a long time. He had only appeared 2 years ago, but in just 2 years, he had become a famous martial artist on Phylon Star. Such a strong, murderous aura. Ling Su noticed Tang Tian's expression from the corner of his eye. His mood instantly improved. Tang Tian screamed. He fell to the ground like a noodle. He twisted his body from time to time. He looked like he was in great pain. Ling Su was dumbstruck and immediately raged. Do you think I'm an idiot? Why? Unhappy. The great elder's voice calmed down. He thought about it. It seemed like he had not won over Ling Su enough. He tried his best to make his voice sound sincere. I did not take good care of you. I hope you can give me a chance to make up for it. No matter what you want or what ambition you have, I will support you. The Gu family will also support you fully. Money, spirit cards, treasures, blood meridians. Whatever you want, just say it. Ling Su spat out these words coldly. His gaze swept across the crowd. Everyone kept quiet out of fear. The smile on Tang Tian's face was a little stiff. He waved his hand. With an expression that said, "You don't have to mind," he laughed. Ha ha ha, I was just asking. It was really just a casual question. If you don't want to say it, I won't ask. Gu Shui was stunned by the scene in front of her. Not only her, Mu Lei's mouth was wide open. The scene in front of them made them confused. Chapter 141. Ling Su glanced at Tang Tian. I know. He wanted me to be a good person like him. Until he passed away, I didn't satisfy him. I started to wander and wander around. From the age of 11 until now, I have been wandering around. I'm getting stronger and stronger, but I am not happy. If I am not happy, I will move to another place. That's true. Tang Tian thought of the elusive Zia. The current situation was obviously not his forte. He shrugged. Then what should I do? Who can resist the snow rainbow bloodline? The whole Gu family knows that he proposed to my father on behalf of Gu Wu, but was rejected by my father. If I did not spread the news about the snow rainbow bloodline, Gu Wu would have kidnapped me. The other branches would not have dared to fight with Gu Wu for me. Tang Tian said proudly, Don't worry, this godlike young man is very strong. He is never afraid of fighting. Otherwise, how could he be your boss? Maybe I can find the starry door. Tang Tian was unconvinced. Not satisfied? Tang Tian was stunned. You are so powerful, but he is still not satisfied? Ling Su glanced at her. What can they do? Ling Su had to do whatever you want expression. You may be disappointed. The starry door that I came from is gone. This is an unstable star belt. Without the stability of the star stones, the starry door cannot be stabilized. Gu Shui said solemnly, My father did not complete the research. I can only open it based on some guesses. I do not know what the final result will be. I need some preparation. Wait. Gu Shui showed a rare determination. We just need to wait for 3 days. They will definitely come back. Then you must know how to leave this place. Tang Tian's face was full of anticipation. Gu Shui saw that the two of them were about to quarrel. She quickly said, Actually, there is another way. Of course. Ling Su looked proud. He glanced at Tang Tian with disdain. Ling Su's voice sounded like he was talking in his sleep. When I heard the news of my father's death, I knew that Guanxiong not only wanted to be the clan leader, but he also wouldn't let me go. Gu Shui's face was pale, and her brown eyes were filled with sorrow. When Ling Su saw Tang Tian frowning, he was in a good mood. Phylon Star is located in an unstable star belt. The stargate here was very unstable. In order to stabilize the stargate, it cost a lot of money, so there was a limit to the number of times it could be opened. If you want to try those unknown stargates, go ahead. However, don't blame me for not telling you. The unknown stargate on Phylon's stars change a lot. You might not be able to come back. As expected, women should not be provoked. Wow, we're the same age. Tang Tian raised his arms excitedly and cheered. Don't worry. From today onwards, I, your boss, will protect you. We can form the young god invincible combo. Kill towards the Southern Cross constellation. Save Chia. Oh, Tang Tian came over again, like a curious baby. The two of them were attracted by Gu Shui's words and turned their faces at the same time. It's useless. Ling Su had been with the Great Elder for a long time, so he was very familiar with Gu Shui's situation. He hit the nail on the head. What can these people do? I can defeat them all by myself. Don't think that the Great Elder will swallow his anger. Based on my understanding of him, he will definitely fight back, and his fight back will be very fierce. How old are you now? Mu Lei couldn't help but ask. Ling Su, who was at the side, laughed mockingly. Where can she go? Once she leaves the Gu clan, she will be targeted immediately. The enemies of the Gu clan will not hesitate to kill her. Please, she has the hidden snow rainbow bloodline in her body. If she gives birth to a descendant, won't it be a big problem for the other clans? Even a careless person like Tang Tian could tell that Ling Su's emotions were not quite right. What do you have in mind now? Tang Tian asked Gu Shui. He suggested, we can bring you away. As long as you leave Black Mountain City, you could go anywhere you want. The empty streets were silent. Snow started to fall again. Muley was also shocked. He was actually weak in front of this bastard. It was too embarrassing. Ling Su asked, why don't you start now? Then which constellation were you in the past? Tang Tian was curious again. You want to leave Phylon Star? Ling Su looked at Tang Tian and gloated. It's not that easy to leave Phylon Star. Every clan has a quota every year to recommend young people with potential to participate in the competition. Only the top 10 are qualified to leave Phylon Star. Tang Tian used the wood from the ruins to build a shed. The four of them sat under the shed. Fortunately, the wind was not strong and they had shelter. Even the weakest Gu Shui was at the 4th level and above, so they did not look too bad. Tang Tian was still all right, as his knowledge of blood meridians was extremely shallow, while Ling Su was dumbstruck. He knew the value of activating the hidden blood meridians. That bastard is too hateful. Tang Tian's eyes were filled with anger. I will kill him, Ling Su said to himself. I always felt that I did well enough, but he was not satisfied. That's right. I could see the dissatisfaction and disappointment in his eyes. He's a good man, a really good man. He adopted me when I was young. If not for him, I would have been eaten by the wolves in the wild. I worked very hard. I have always worked very hard. But he was still disappointed. Tang Tian frowned. He asked unwillingly, is there no other way? Don't look at how he beat up Ling Su. That was because he took advantage of him. Ling Su's eyes flashed with a cold aura. His face suddenly became serious. Southern Cross constellation. Gu Shui looked at Mu Lei apologetically. She explained, this was one of the reasons why my father was killed. I don't know how Gu and Xiong found out about this. Because Gu and Xiong came to ask for Gu Wu's hand in marriage. My father and Gu and Xiong had a bad relationship. Since he came to ask for Gu and Xiong's hand in marriage, my father and I guessed that he might know something. And Gu Shui nodded. She looked at Tang Tian quietly. Then who did you learn your martial techniques from? Tang Tian asked. Her calm tone made Tang Tian feel a chill down his spine. Tang Tian was surprised. You're not for Phylon Star? He was very disappointed in me. Ling Su, who was hugging his silver spear, looked afar. Amidst the fluttering snowflakes, he seemed to be in a daze. He muttered, he was always disappointed in me. Ling Su glanced at Tang Tian. He pretended that he did not hear anything. Nonsense. Ling Su snorted. Ling Su shook his head. He hugged his silver spear. His body curled up into a ball. His mood was gloomy. He was very unhappy with me. The fact that I have a hidden bloodline was actually discovered by my father when I was very young. All these years, he had been researching on how to activate the hidden blood meridians. Because he was worried that the news of my hidden blood meridians would leak out, he did it very discreetly. Even Uncle Mu did not know about it. Gu Shui explained. Gu Shui shook her head. I can't leave. No wonder he was so strong. Your teacher must be very powerful. Mu Lei sighed. To be able to teach such an outstanding student like you, he must be very pleased. The snowflakes fell quietly. In his vision, those familiar scenes quietly floated up from his memory. Why? Tang Tian did not understand. Even Mu Lei was moved. 17. Ling Su was expressionless. Wait. But we still underestimated his ruthlessness. Now that I think about it, we were too naive. If Father could really activate my snow rainbow blood meridians, then Father would most likely become the new clan leader. Gu and Xiong was determined to become the clan leader. How could he allow such an accident to happen? The night gradually fell. I'm asking you a question. Tang Tian persevered. What did this bastard say just now? Muley did not say anything. He only bit his lips. My teacher. Ling Su's stiff face became gentler. Ling Su's eyes twitched. All the sadness in his heart immediately disappeared. This rascal was indeed an expert at destroying the atmosphere. Miss, when Mu Lei heard that there was danger, he immediately revealed a look of objection. Tang Tian patted Ling Su's shoulder righteously. I'm your boss. Which boss isn't familiar with their lackeys? Wah, Aries, a big constellation. No. Gu Shui shook her head. Leave him to me. I want to personally send him off. Gu Shui turned and said softly, Uncle Mu, rather than being humiliated by others, I would rather try. Even if I die, I'm not afraid. Mu Lei and Gu Shui were in disbelief. In their eyes, Ling Su was so young. He already had such a powerful strength. If he was not satisfied, then how strict was Ling Su's teacher? Wondering, Tang Tian's eyes lit up. Then you must have been to many places. This time, not only was Tang Tian surprised, even Gu Shui and Mu Lei were surprised. I've never been to school. Ling Su's face turned cold. It was the same as what Mu Lei and the rest had said. Aries. Ling Su was slightly annoyed. Why are you being so wishy-washy? Godlike young invincible combination. Ling Su, what did you do in the past? Tang Tian, who was free, asked Ling Su curiously. He felt that Ling Su was an interesting person. He could even be compared to a Maori. Wandering, Ling Su unwillingly spat out these two words. Tell me, since everyone is bored, the night is long. Tang Tian had a gossipy expression on his face. When you were in school, you were very powerful, right? Ling Su's face turned gloomy. The corner of his eyes twitched. He was on the verge of going berserk. Being called boss was definitely not a good memory. Scram! Ling Su glared at him. My clansmen, Gu Shui explained. If this house completely collapses, their situation will become even worse. They don't have any powerful experts, but their numbers are not small. They're also a force. The activation of the recessive blood meridians, that meant Mu Lei and Gu Shui were shocked. The 17-year-old Ling Su had actually been wandering for 6 years. They could not imagine an 11-year-old child wandering outside, fighting in the adult world. Tang Tian was puzzled. Why are you looking at me? Then we wait now? Tang Tian asked Gu Shui. Gu Shui quietly narrated. Ling Su rolled his eyes. You are such a dark and wretched guy. When you meet a real person, don't pee in your pants.